Hello everyone and welcome to this Nintendo Switch 2 Cruise Control discussion, the second most obvious name that you could give this console.
What's the most obvious name you could give this console?
The Electric Boogaloo, but we're not
Oh
that
right, yeah.
obvious to go for the most obvious options.
I would like two Nintendo, two Switch. I'd like that one personally.
I mean, the good thing with at least, it might be a bland name, but at least Nintendo don't have to have that awkward moment of like having to explain that actually this is a new system. It's not a Wii U situation, thank God. It's your bog standard. This is Nintendo Switch 2. There is no ifs or buts. It's a new system.
They should have called it the fucking Nintendo Switch U or F you. Just fuck you. Fuck you. Nintendo Switch, fuck you.
Fuck you. Here is a console. Buy it, play it, ingest
Here's a
it.
console, give us money and we'll make Yoshi pay his taxes.
So we're doing this the day after the Nintendo Direct, so it is at time of this recording. It's the 3rd of April, and we kind of left it for a day because we thought, okay, we want kind of more news to kind of come out. But the real reason was I was just laying in bed and figured, hey, let's just talk about it. But thankfully we did wait because obviously there is now more information that has come out about the system in terms of pricing for like the hardware itself and games, etc. We're not going to be talking too much about the Direct itself. We're not really reacting to it. We'll be talking about elements of it as well as just things around the Switch 2.
Yeah, because the direct itself was really fascinating. I think even during the direct, like by the time it ended, I think everyone agreed that there was a sort of a weird sense of like the most interesting things were not the things that were said, but the things that weren't. Like
Absolutely.
not no big price announcement, nothing like that. Not a lot of like details on like certain things that you'd expect to like every E3 conference you've ever seen that announces a console normally talks about like here's how our game distribution service works. We've got 17 fucking channels with the NFL or some weird shit. The Xbox One announcement is still a disaster, and you should all go back and watch it. Um,
Yeah.
but it is it's a very odd situation because of how much I think public perception on the Switch 2 has turned in the last 24 hours since the direct. It the direct happened, people were freaking out, super positive about it, and then about a couple of hours later, as more stuff about the pricing started to come in and other stuff that we'll talk about sort of started to come in, you got this weird sense where people were sort of reminded about the fact that Nintendo are a company that don't care about you and just want your money. Like it's a really bizarre thing where I think Nintendo have always had this odd perception for a lot of people where it's like, oh, Nintendo, they're the really cool ones who love you and they've got fucking Miyamoto and passionate people and Sakurai and they're passionate and they care about the craft and the games and that's what matters. And then they always do, like, you always go on their store and there's always some fucking bullshit of like how they're pricing certain things, how long it takes anything to depreciate, the how few sales there sometimes are, and all of these different things. And it really kind of boils up into this classic realization that every once in a while you get a reminder that Nintendo are a company. They're not some cute fun thing. They Nintendo do not care about you necessarily. Like if you look at them wrong, they will sue you into oblivion. If you make a fucking Metroid 2 fan game, they will fucking destroy you. Like all of this stuff. And they always have the nice aesthetic and it's like, oh yeah, Nintendo are great. And it's so interesting watching the last 24 hours go from like we have the Nintendo sort of direct, which was really good. I liked it, and I'm gonna use a word that's gonna sound a bit more inflammatory than I mean it to, but like you had the Nintendo propaganda on screen for like an hour, and then just after that, as like more things are being said, people are just like, oh, and like people are still excited about it. It still looks really cool, and the stuff that they announced is really cool. And we're going to talk about that. But it is really interesting to see how perception and the general feeling of hype has turned into, oh yeah, it's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not right. I'm like I
Like,
said, I'm still excited for it. There are some situations when it comes to pricing which I am a bit concerned about. But yeah, I guess we can go into it. Obviously, on screen right now, like I'm not doing any video editing. I've just got like some web pages open, stuff that's going to be playing in the background. So obviously, it's more like a sort of a podcasting related sort of thing. But I guess we'll kind of start off and kind of talk about it. We should probably start talking about like sort of the pricing and stuff. So just for context, we are going to be talking about it from a UK perspective because we're from the UK. Um, so we'll try to do like comparison prices with like say the US or the EU. But again, we're primarily talking about
Although
the UK
in
side
the
of
current
things.
situation, I think with the US, it's sort of the prices might fluctuate
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the next few months.
So
Let's be honest.
So starting with the actual hardware itself, so it's coming out in June. It's coming out very early in June, which was a big surprise for me personally because whenever you look back at like say the releases of game consoles, most of the time they've always been around quarter four, which is obviously kind of closer to the holiday season for like Christmas and stuff. So for me, seeing that the June release date was a bit of a surprise, but I guess it's probably going to be a blessing because there's going to be games coming out, throughout the coming months, and by the time they get to Christmas, it's probably going to be one of the biggest selling things of this year. And you mentioned as well when we talked privately about this yesterday that Nintendo have always kind of brought out their handheld systems usually around the summertime.
The summer, yeah.
So it's quite interesting that it's coming out. The fact that you're having an April direct. By the way, this is coming out in 2 months. Is just insane. So they're
That's
gonna probably
that is very surprising. Yeah.
yeah. Like I would have thought like maybe not like 4 or 5 months or something, but it's like no 2 months away or whatever. Then you're gonna have it in your hands. Is like that's. I don't think any other company has done that really, and I've never
No,
heard of that
I
that being
don't know.
done.
Although I do wonder if this is slightly more indicative of our sort of post-COVID modern times, because one thing that has been a real big problem when you like look at GPU markets that spend a lot of time and say when their fucking pre-order dates are and all this exact stuff is obviously scalping has become such a, a fucking epidemic. um like anything that gets announced gets scalped these days. I mean, to get around it for this one, they're doing like a lottery system for
Yeah,
pre-orders. um
and I can
so
I can imagine like most websites like and your retailers are gonna limit it to like two or something. So I'm hoping that
yeah.
we're not gonna be in a situation where it's gonna be scalp. I mean, there's gonna be scalpers sadly, but I'm hoping that whatever Nintendo's gonna do, they're gonna try and mitigate it as much as
We're
possible.
hoping it's not going to be like Nvidia fucking GPU levels of scalping, which
So
are
yeah,
like egregious.
so pre-orders for the
um
Switch 2 are coming out, are going live on the 8th of April, so it's not too far away. It'll be next week. So the pricing of the console. So if you're just getting the base console itself, in the UK side of things, it's going to be £395 and 99 pence. That's just for the
yep.
that's for the console. In the box, obviously, it comes with the console. It comes with like the dock and like your HDMI cables. But then there's the bundle version with Mario Kart World, which is £429 and 99 pence. So that's only like what, like maybe just a little. It's like £35 more, and you get like Mario Kart. I'm actually quite okay with this price. I feel like it's a pretty decent price. Although one could
Yeah, base
argue that
prices were expected. Base prices were expected.
yeah, because like your consoles now these days sadly are kind of going towards like the £400 mark, unless you're getting like say like a Series S, which is like a very kind of budget next gen console. But yeah, I think for something like this seems to be like a pretty decent price. Um, I guess other things to kind of mention about the hardware itself. It's gonna have 256 gigs of internal memory. Thank God, because I think what was the base switches again? Was it like 64 gigs or
It
something?
was, I
It
think it was
was
64. Yeah,
yeah,
it was 64. Also, they're not using proprietary like SanDisk owned micro SDs anymore. They're using standard micro SD slots. So, uh, like they showed off that like multiple micro SDs from different companies will work.
yeah. The only
But it all, but although a kick in the teeth is that your Nintendo Switch micro SDs will not work on the Switch 2.
yes, you
Because they're just doing standardized micro SDs. It's not compatible. So
yeah, you
yeah,
specifically need to have like micro SD express cards specifically because it has a higher read. I think like normal micro SD cards do like 100 megabytes, a slight over 100 megabytes per second, whereas like your express ones are like 10 times that or 9 times more.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you have to get the expresses. And so far, if I go on say Amazon just to see like what the prices are for like an express one, um, so for like your SanDisk micro SD Express ones, at the moment they don't offer anything over 256 gigs. So for 256 gig micro SD Express card in the UK is around £80. I think it's half that if you're going for like 128 micro SD card. There is another company called Lexa, which I've not really heard of before. Um, so they do, and apparently this is again, I think IGN mentioned them, but their 256 gig express card is around £90, and they have a 512 gigabyte one for £149. So it's a lot of money for your storage, but then storage always costs a lot. So I'm curious to see like how many games you can actually fit on to
True.
a
I mean, I
base
know that
Switch
like
2.
a
They did
micro
say it was
SD
like
is
80.
tiny and it's like crazy technology, but I will say I bought like a 4 terabyte SSD the other day for like the same price.
Yeah, I think in the actual um Switch 2 hardware itself, like in terms of its storage, they did say it can hold up to like what was it now? They said like uh like 18 games, I think. I don't think that's true. I guess it probably depends, but you can definitely hold like um a lot more games on the base console
Yeah.
itself
I
now.
will say that their graphic for like showing how many games you could put on the thing was definitely a little bit like a little bit
Oh yeah.
dishonest, but
They said eight
like
times the amount of games, but yeah, I guess it probably will depend on the actual size
yeah, I was
of the
very
games
confused when they
themselves.
said it can hold 8 times the amount of games because I was just like, 64 times 4 is like
Oh, sorry, it
it's
wasn't
not
even 60.
times
It
8.
wasn't even 64. It was 32. The
Fuck
base
off! It was 32.
apparently 32. Yeah, I totally forgot.
Oh,
It's been a
in
while
which
since.
case, 8 times as many games. Fucking, I take it back, Nintendo. Your graphic was completely accurate. Um, also, by the way, I wasn't complaining about the whole like micro SD thing earlier or anything like that. I mean, it's more just like it's just a shame that you can't just transfer your Switch One over, but it's understandable why. Because going to a standard format, and also as much as it's so weird that we're in an age where I'm like, oh yeah, you can get this. I can get a 4 terabyte SSD for the same price, but then I just remember how small a fucking micro SD is. It's like, actually, wait, how the fuck do you get any data on there? That's insane. Like, like
It's black
I
magic
it's
that.
so weird. I feel so like bizarre that I see the concept of being able to get 512 gigabytes on just the tiniest chip is like, well, I can do better for the same. It's like, wait a minute, there's a miracle in the palm of my hands right now, and I'm complaining about
So,
it.
so as we're
What's going on?
So as we're talking about prices a little bit, I guess like the bad news has to come in terms of the cost of the actual games themselves. So on the screen right now, I've got like the Nintendo UK website up, and they've actually got the prices for some of the games at the moment. The main two being Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. So digitally, for these games, Mario Kart and Donkey Kong are around £6, £7 and £58 respectively, or £59, sorry, respectively for the digital version, and the physical
Yeah,
version for Mario Kart World is nearly £75. Donkey Kong is around £67, which is kind of crazy that they're that much, but then again, when you think about like say Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 games, they've been hovering around that for a while now. Like they've been around like 50 to 60 quid. But this feels like it's the most expensive one like physical game on the market so far, which is
maybe.
for
I
me
mean,
a
I'm
bit
looking. I'm on
concerning.
Steam here. I'm looking at Black Ops 6, and like the base price for that is 69.99. I know Square Enix's recent stuff was about £65. Like the Rebirth PC port was 65
Yeah.
quid.
Just for
Um,
just for comparison, I want Argos just to see like how much like Switch games are currently costing. So obviously like Nintendo games they never kind of go down in price. So like say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which again then again came out like 6 years ago at this point, it's around £38. Super Mario Party Jamboree is around 40. Xenoblade Chronicles X, which came out recently, is 40 quid. So you're kind of seeing like if you've only just been primarily a Switch player, you're seeing like a big jump in terms of uh, price. And maybe an element of that is obviously it's got the hardware is obviously going to be, I won't say significantly better, but it's obviously going to be better hardware, which means more better graphical fidelity, etc. So obviously that's going to cost more money. I mean, and
yeah.
also just like cartridges themselves cost more than a CD. Like
I
if you ever seen like a game that's been multi-platform for the Switch and on PlayStation and stuff, you'll always find like the Switch version is always slightly more expensive, and I think that's obviously because just manufacturing cartridges in comparison to discs are more expensive.
And also probably optimization and testing has to go for a little bit longer on
Yeah,
them
yeah,
because because you're having to do because also you have to deal with something that can change power usage and resolution when like when you go from dock to undocked. So there's that to add to it. I was looking as well at like I was pretty shocked at the prices at first. I'm looking at like Doom the Dark Ages. That's also launching at 70. But obviously Microsoft have always kind of recently they've upped their prices on general, but then they're trying to push people into Game Pass. That's like their thing.
yeah. And
So
I think also as well, like,
Microsoft's adoption of 70 quid feels more like a slight extortion of like get to fucking Game Pass, you
but
piece of
also I think
shit.
there's element of like the AAA market are trying to push higher prices now anyway. Like a lot of people are waiting for not just GTA 6 to drop its release date, so that way games can kind of work around that release date. But obviously there's been a lot of talk from 2K about they're wanting to put like $100 price tag, which is I think is
Yeah.
what like 80 for GTA 6, and they're probably going to use that as like the benchmark going forward for like high end AAA games. And in this economy right now, like especially in the UK with cost of living, I mean I don't even want to talk about the US side of things because you guys are going so rough right now.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
a
going to be
really
so expensive, like just gaming in general. It's one of the big reasons why I'm a big fan of Game Pass. We can talk about that. That's a whole separate thing. But it's like
yeah.
it's gonna feel way more like a luxury than it already was a luxury, to game a little bit. But it's gonna feel even more so, I think, in the coming years.
It's weird because as much as like there's always because there's always the argument of like, well, gaming has got more expensive, team sizes have ballooned, the amount of like stuff needed and things like that for like certain games is a lot higher than it used to be, and you have to deal with inflation and you have to deal with all of these things. And I do understand that, but we also live in an economy where games, a lot of them have microtransactions and DLCs and a lot of other ways to spend your money. And we don't know if that's going to be the case with any of these Nintendo ones. Um, Nintendo have normally been more into expansions
Yeah,
than typical microtransaction practices and that kind of thing. That's not to say they haven't dabbled in them a few times. And let's be honest, Nintendo have a mobile game division that have absolutely taken the piss for the last several years because it's mobile games. Um, but yeah, it's definitely I think it's a thing of like we all knew that this was probably going to happen. It's weird seeing it come into reality, and I think it's also like I said. I think Nintendo, for some bizarre reason, I think it's just their aesthetic, have this reputation of being like the sort of family friendly ones that everyone likes. I think people sort of realizing, oh, they're in this trend too because that's like the new standard that it's being pushed. I think that it just I think maybe some people just weren't necessarily ready for that,
yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
odd. I don't know why I was shocked by it. Because in retrospect, it's not surprising, but I like when it got announced, I was like, oh, what it but it does definitely like it's that issue of I don't know if they're doing the loss leader strategy, whether they're making a loss on the consoles at 395 or whether
Most,
that is
I think,
still
I think every
most consoles are
console
loss
just makes
leaders.
a loss. I don't think there's any console that is sold that makes a profit. Every console gets sold at a loss, but then obviously the
Yeah,
manufacturers get it back through software. So I don't
but
think there's been
I
for like a
think
long time now like consoles don't make money. It's definitely the software.
yeah, I think though what's weird is that why I think why you don't see the same because there are plenty of PC games and PC ports that launch at about £70 now, but I think you don't see the same vitriol about that just because the Steam store isn't infamous for being rigid about its prices. Like the classic joke of like the Steam summer sale is always a thing. That joke is always there. It's like, oh, well, in a year there'll be a sale that'll be like 50% off of this game. Whilst Nintendo have the eShop has a reputation for being incredibly rigid when it comes to prices and very takes a long while before you start to see the numbers go down, and even then those numbers tend to be temporary.
Yeah,
um so it's a very awkward situation,
and
I
if
think, because this is just reality meeting the fact that Like,
And I think what hurts it as well,
yeah,
like, with the price point being higher, is obviously some of the stuff that came out from the Direct with regards to upgrade packages and also with their little, like, virtual tour of the console being paid as well. So, like,
that's I
that's
think that
that's
was
not
the one that,
helped.
like, yeah, I honestly think that if the console tour game and if the console tour game was packaged with the Switch, and if the Zelda one specifically, if the Zelda upgrades were free, I think that the perception of this would be very different. And people were like, well,
Absolutely.
this is the new standard. It's unfortunate it's that expensive. But hey, we get but the fact it's like buy the console. Oh, do you want to play Zelda with these new upgrades? Where every console has like tried to entice you by making it so that you can get the upgrade for the game.
Yeah.
No, you're not getting that. You have to pay for it. And like because that means that there is a situation where you can put Zelda on your Switch 2, play it, and it will be an inferior version that is not using any of the hardware that your console you're playing it on has, and it's just nerfed. Like you just have a nerfed version of this game that is being held back just to make you pay some money. Um, and
Which is
I
a
think
shame. It's it-
that's
it's such a horrible shame because like actually yeah, because like I was just looking at, I'm on the actual part on the Nintendo Direct right now, like where you're seeing the improved version of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it looks beautiful. I mean, obviously, like people who've emulated, Switch stuff on PC have seen this for a while, but like, it runs smoother, it looks crisper, it looks nicer, and the fact that like I might have to pay. I mean, I'm assuming like, the fact that you know Nintendo, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, when it comes to their sort of like their DLC pricing has always been pretty fair. I mean, the fact that like the Mario Kart 8 like sort of DLC packs with the cost, you basically got like a whole game for like half the price, and it was insane.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I'm not
so
going to deny that they haven't put work into this. I'm
absolutely,
sure they've put work into the internal code to make it like so that like because I mean even the modders who've been emulating the Switch, getting this thing to run at 60, like they've had to do some workarounds to get the physics to be fine with that and all these sorts of things. So it's like there is,
and
like it is. I'm
like
not going to deny that Nintendo put work in and should be paid for that work, but it is I think if they just announce that okay, your Zeldas will be upgraded for free, and you get this like little Nintendo Switch 2 manual game for free with the console, I
yeah,
feel like it would have shifted the conversation so hard
just to
in the other
just to add to
direction.
that, so Gene Park, who is a games journalist, did a tweet yesterday night with regards to Wii Sports. So I'm just going to read the tweet out. So Reggie had to convince Miyamoto and Nintendo to include Wii Sports as a free pack-in game for the Wii. According to his book, Reggie said Nintendo simply doesn't believe that they should give away their hard work for free, but they related that but they but related for the Wii because it was such a new concept. Like they basically gave it away for free because obviously it's a new thing people give away. And the thing is though, that's insane to think that Wii Sports would have had, like, if it wasn't for Reggie,
Yeah,
that it
because
would be paid.
because Wii Sports made them.
Exactly.
Wii Sports made the Wii, and I know that people can be like, oh well, it had all these things. No, 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 no. When it came out, the Wii was Wii Sports. Fucking the concept of swinging a tennis racket and bowling, that was the Wii. And every bit of footage you ever see to show that something's a Wii game in any media around the time is Wii Sports. I mean, Always Sunny in Philadelphia had a Wii Sports joke. Like, Wii Sports was the Wii. And
like I, and I get
oh
what
god,
me.
imagine the alternate universe where We Play was the free game. Imagine that.
I think like even though like we play, it was a very small. It's a fun little mini game thing, but people bought it. And we talked about it yesterday. People bought it to get the second controller because it was like, well, you can just
Yeah,
buy a new. You can get a controller by itself, or you can spend an extra £5 and you can get a little mini. You can get a little mini game to play
exactly.
to learn
You
how to
get a
use the Wii
controller
remote.
and you get a controller and you get tiny tanks, and that's I mean I'll do anything for tiny tanks.
I was thinking like even on like this on the I like so I got like up right now like one of the images from Nintendo Life and I get where Miyamoto's coming from. Like this is the quote that he said. He goes like, neither of you understand the challenges of creating software that people love to play. This is something that we constantly push ourselves to do. We do not want to give away our software. I understand that. Like I get like I've made games, I've worked in games. It's hard, all right. Yeah, it's not an easy process, and you know you might want to obviously get some return from that, but also at the same time you need like a gimmick or something to kind of push. I'm not using gimmick in a derogatory sense when I say that. You need something
No,
to
no,
kind of
no,
push
no.
it, and like
Like
Wii
you,
Sports
you
was
need something that
that. And then
shows
look at
why
say
your
like the
console
3DS.
works.
Like the 3DS came packaged with like you got a bunch of free little AR cards where you can kind of look at like Mario coming out on the AR card. You had like the Face Raider little game, and it kind of like it showed off the features and the functionalities of that console. You know, PlayStation had like Astro Bot, not the game that came out on PS5. Like initially, I think which was on the PS4.
Playroom,
It was just like a little
playroom.
playroom thing. Like you need little software like that just to kind of to kind of introduce people to it. And the fact that like this little touring game of a console which you'll own by the like so if you're so I it feels like a rip off. Like if you're going to um pay for a little tour of a console you have in your hand, what's
Yeah,
what's
like
the point?
that's the weird thing. Like to me, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, they've gamified the manual. That's brilliant." I was genuine in awe. Like, I mean, they come with a play manual, but like they've gamified the manual. And like especially with Labo, where like with Labo they wanted to teach kids about engineering. And like
Yeah.
this is how this works. And with this, it was like, hey, like kids who've got your new console, I want to introduce you to the cool things and the hard work we've done here in a really novel and fun way that you're going to appreciate your console more for. You're going to actually find why certain decisions were made about this console interesting and how this works. I mean, learning that the SL and SR buttons were electromagnets that was amazing. I was like,
It's a
wow,
little fun little thing,
that's
yeah.
what? Yeah, and then it's just like, and you have to pay for it. It's like, oh, you just pissed away all the goodwill. Like you like
I'm hoping it's
because
cheap, like it's like £5. Like if it's anything over that, it's just a rip off. And like I don't
yeah,
understand why Nintendo are doing this. Like for the last two consoles, like this, like when the Switch came out, 1-2 Switch should never have been a full release game. That should have been come packaged with it. Nintendo Land, I love Nintendo Land on the Wii U. I loved the Wii U. That also should have just been included with. I think it was if you got the 32 gig version, like the black
it
console.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If you got that version,
yeah. So like at
God,
least that
Nintendo
was
Land
there.
was so good.
Nintendo Land is fantastic. So yeah,
It's underrated. Let's just quickly. I know it's a derail. Let's quickly talk about this, right? So for all the things that people say about the Wii U, Nintendo Land. If you Nintendo Land was especially if you had like four mates, so that you could have like the four controllers from your Wii and one person on the gamepad. One of the most fun gaming experiences you'll ever have.
absolutely.
It, the Luigi's Mansion game is
That is
like
great. I freaking love
incredible.
that game is so fun.
Anyway,
So yeah, we're not happy about like some of the choices that they're making with the upgrade packs, and in some cases I don't mind it. I think like for the Jamboree one, because there's such a like new content, it's basically
oh
essentially paying DLC.
yeah,
So I'm fine with that one. So that I'm not too fussed about. I guess we talked so much about the pricing now. I think maybe we should kind of talk about the hardware itself. So I'm just going to bring up the Nintendo article, like the actual one from their website. So for the size of it, I think it's the same. Like the actual like size of the console, like in terms of the width, is probably the same. Not width, depth or whatever. Like it's the same as like your standard Switch, so that hasn't changed. But it is bigger, so you have a I want to say it's like is it a 7.5 inch, 7.9 inch
7.9, 7.9.
yeah,
Yeah.
7.9 LCD screen. It's not OLED, sadly. There are like pros and cons with LCD and OLED. I can probably see why they're going for LCD because it's cheaper in comparison to OLED. I wouldn't be surprised if like give it like a year or two, there's going to be an OLED version of it. The screen size is 1080p. That's you could maybe want like I don't know what a Steam Deck has, but like 1080p for a small screen, I
I,
think
I,
that's
I I don't know what a
fine.
Steam Deck's one is, but obviously we're also talking about a 120 hertz monitor here, which is very different.
Yeah,
That's like 1080 120 is you either get 1440 60 or you get 1080 120 or something that big
yeah,
as
because
far as
it
I'm
says
concerned.
so it's got up to like 120 hertz. It has HDR10 support, which is great. So the colors are gonna kind of going to be vibrant on
Oh,
both like
I
the
just want to
screen.
say, by the way, to anyone listening, I know this is a bit of a thing, but like, if you're like, oh yeah, 120 hertz, but like 60 looks smooth enough anyway. As someone who owns a 180 hertz monitor and like was like, I don't really see the point of going that high. I can assure you, 120 hertz will change your life.
They
You will
didn't.
not believe how smooth. Like at first you'll be like, oh, I can barely tell them between 30 and 60 anyway, and then you get play 120. It's like, oh my god.
So it wasn't mentioned in the direct itself, but it does have a competitive touchscreen. So it still has touchscreen. There's no real information about the CPU or GPU. We just know that it's a custom processor made by NVIDIA. So we don't really know anything more about that really. It has 256 gigs of internal storage. Uses Wi-Fi as wireless Wi-Fi. So it's got Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth, video outputs as well, which is good. So like I actually like cheered when I when I heard this, but like it does support up to 4K resolution at 60 frames in TV mode, which is great. I think it says here for support for 420 FPS, you're looking at I think around 2K to like 1080p resolutions. Again, it supports HDR10 for video output. Um, Anything
They
else
haven't
worth
announced it
mentioning?
because it's an Nvidia chip. I'm presuming they're achieving this through like DLSS. I would be very
Yeah,
surprised if
it probably
DLSS isn't being used
it
on this
probably will be.
console.
I'll probably put the video on the screen on the screen as well. But it does have two USB-C ports, so one at the bottom and one at the top, which is like thank God, thank God
Yeah.
that it's actually like on it's on the bottom, it's on the top now as well. Because like, if you're trying, so if you want to play in handheld mode and like a little tabletop mode thing, it's gonna be a lot easier to actually charge your console, which is fantastic. Um,
Oh, and I honestly, this is a really I think people are not talking about this, but like I think it's really underappreciated. The kickstand looks usable.
Yes, and I think from memory it is actually adjustable as well, so which is great.
Yeah, it because the kickstand on the Switch was garbo, which is a shame because I actually really like the idea of just like putting it down on a table and just kind of yeah. So
Yeah, the actual dock
having
itself as well, like has a fan in it as well, so obviously to keep the console itself cool. So that's great as well. Obviously bigger, Joy-Cons. There's anything else really that we want to talk about, sort of the hardware wise? I don't know if you want to compare it to like a. It seems like a very sort of slimmed down version of a Steam Deck. And again, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think it's great.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about with regards to the actual hardware itself?
Not necessarily. I would like to talk about digital cartridges.
Okay, this is something you told me yesterday, and I don't even know what this is. Is that like an? I'm going to Google it whilst you're talking about it. You talk about it.
Okay.
Try
So
to explain it to
the
me.
problem. So okay, here's the issue, right? Is that they're using digital cartridges in two separate ways, and I the concept of the virtual game card, and they're using the language in two different ways about it to I think maybe distract that one people will like and two people will not like.
What's it called
So
again?
the
Is it
first
called
one
digital game card? You said it's called. Or
no,
virt?
so okay, so I think let me just is it called digital? So there's two things. There's the virtual game card, which is the cool thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Um and then let me see, is it called digital cartridges? Uh Game key cards. So okay, so digital cartridges or sorry so okay, so there's the virtual game card and there's the game key card, and I think that they may this is conspiratorial brain, by the way, but like my brain is of the thought that like they've named them similar to each other so that people will talk about one and not the other. So virtual game cards are when you buy a Nintendo Switch game on the eShop, it's treated like a game card on your device, so it can be quote unquote ejected from your account temporarily. It's still registered as yours, but you can eject it from your account, and if someone and give it to someone else. So if someone's nearby, you can connect your two switches together and essentially swap games. You can give them your games, and they can give you their games. So, like with an actual cartridge, you can just swap games with each other. You still have to be in close proximity to each other. You can't just do it online. I think their idea is that it's still got the same restrictions as if you did it with someone IRL, just like going up to them and giving them your game. So that is a thing. You can essentially share your games with your friends. So if one person owns a game, you can go up to them and give them your copy. You can't play it while they have it, but you can share, basically. That's the nice thing. That's virtual game cards. Uh, Game key cards are physical copies of games with a cartridge that do not contain the game. Um, you buy the game, you put the cartridge in, it sets it downloads it basically ties the game to your account like it would if you bought it online. So it goes, oh, okay, this is a game. I'm going to download all of the data, and it's like you bought it online. But the game will not work if you do not have the cartridge in. You have to have the cartridge in the console. You're not just bought an online version physically. You have it. The cartridge contains no game data. That all has to be downloaded online and is tied to your account like an online game. But if you do not have the cartridge in the game, in the console, it will not play your digital copy of the game. That's the virtual that's the game key card.
Yeah, I have got the actual. There is actually like a Nintendo support article about it, and I've just read it, and like I'm trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. I got a better understanding of it now after you talked about it, and after I read it as well. I think one thing we will say is that it just feels like an absolute waste of plastic. Like this
Yeah.
feels like it shouldn't really be a thing. I get where it's coming from. Like I think like the reason why you would do it is because what it says here is like obviously like you get basically like the game on that cartridge. Um, and what it says here is once you've got it on that digital what's it called again? Sorry, the game keycard. It says here an internet connection is only required when you launch the game the first time. After this, the game can be started even without internet connection. Um, so I guess it's a case of like if you're going abroad or something
It
and you want to
still
just
requires the cartridge though.
yeah, I guess it's one of those things where it's like if you're going maybe if you're going traveling or something, it's like well you want to play a game, you'll basically essentially download it onto this cartridge and then you can play it even without an internet connection. So as long as you've kind of launched it the first time with a connection, it's like okay this game card is now ready to use after that like without a connection. Again
But are you downloading it to the cartridge or are you downloading it to your console?
so I will read the article actually. So it says here so like game cards.
Read this because this needs some fucking clarification. Because if this is what I think it is, this is stupid and incredibly irresponsible,
What's weird is
as far
like
as I'm concerned.
before I read it is like Nintendo I've had like a slight little weird like messaging problem with some of their new features recently. So like the virtual game card thing when I first watched that video, like the first half of it, I was like, what is the point of this? And it's like, oh now I see the point of it and this is actually quite cool. Game chat, which we'll probably talk about in a minute, like this seems like well this is just something that's been here for years, but then it's like, oh actually there's some features that are here that are probably are not on other consoles and stuff. So let me just read this support article. So game cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the key card into your system and starting it up like a standard physical game card. So how it works is you insert the card into the system. Then step 2, you download the game. The game itself isn't included on the game key card. You'll have to download it before you can play it. So you're basically downloading the game onto that card. So you follow the instructions. So it says, please note, to download the game, you must have enough free space on your Nintendo Switch 2 system, memory or micro SD card. The amount of free space required is indicated on the the game card packaging. So step 3 is play the game. Once the game is downloaded, you're ready to play. An internet connection is only required when you launch the game for the first time. After this, the game can be started even without an internet connection. However, like regular physical software, the game keycard must be inserted into the system in order to play the game. So essentially, you're kind of downloading your digital games onto a
Can I
blank card.
can I give the game key card to my friend?
It doesn't say, I don't think.
And that to me is the most telling thing.
Yeah.
If like say it, because as much as because even if that was the case, it would still be a bad idea, and I think it's a bad idea. But at least in that situation, it's like, well, I can share it with my friend and they can download it and whatever. But and that's why they're trying to restrict it, so you only have one copy, so you can't just have this digital copy going to everyone. But the fact that they haven't said, oh, and you can give it to your friend and they can play it too, it's like, like, is it like a physical card that just doesn't have the data on it but still requires me to fucking put the card in,
From what
but I
from
can
what it
share it with
sounds
my
like,
friends like a physical card? Or is it just a worse version of owning something digitally?
I think the lie. It sounds like to me that you're basically downloading your digital game onto a blank card, and then you can just use that card to play that game. Um, that's what it kind
But
of
you're not
sounds like.
downloading the game. You're not downloading the game on the card isn't doing anything. You're not putting any data on the card.
I think you might be. I'm gonna send you this article. You can so like
Give me an example. As far to me, that sounds like the fucking card has the word Terry on it. Like it's just got a text file that says Terry, and then you put it in, and then it just goes, Terry wants to play Smash Brothers. It's like, okay, I'm gonna give Smash Brothers to Terry, and then and then is it on my account? Is it just download? Like, there is, they need to be fucking clear right now, because as far as I'm concerned, this is infuriating.
yeah, this is a very weird thing. I'm not 100% sure what it is as well, so I think I'm just like really confused as to what it is. Um,
It
but
doesn't download anything onto the keycard. The
yeah.
keycard just is a keycard.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the keycard isn't writing or any memory to it. Nothing's happening with it. You're just it's just a text file that is just saying what your game what that you can download this game online. Whether you can share that with other people, I don't know. Whether that's the reason that it has to be physically put in, because you could give it to a friend, they could download the game, but they need the physical thing there. At least then that makes a kind of logical sense, even if it's fucking stupid. But like, holy fuck, we're already scared of the death of physical media, and this, if Nintendo make this standard, is the fucking death nail, and I will not have it.
This feels like we're going back a lot of kind of just reading on the verge. Like, I'm getting a better understanding now where cause it says you like some games will just be on that card, so it's not actually on there. You have, like I said, like you have to just, you put it in, you download it, whatever. But
What's the point
but
of making a card then?
just make a digital only version of the Switch 2 then at that point. Like, just
So
seems fit.
make a digital version of the Switch, make a digital copy of the game, make it so I can buy it online, and if you really want to waste plastic, fucking sell me a box. I don't want anything on the box. Just sell me a box. Hell, sell me the blank box with the cellophane that you put the cover under, and I will print out the fucking cover myself. This, I fucking look.
But the thing is that
Look,
there are
there are
like
things. There are things I'm looking forward to about the Switch 2. I don't want to make a think that I hate the Switch 2,
yeah,
but this
this is
specific thing, I hate the Switch 2 for. This is, I genuinely find this insulting. This actually, like, I did not think before I started the last two sentences I'd be as pissed off as I was right now. But I am furious about
I'd
this. This
imagine this is gonna
actually pisses
be
me off.
I imagine this is probably gonna be for like smaller indie games. I cannot imagine this being for AAA games. You know what?
Well,
Actually, you know what? I take
no,
that
no,
back
but that makes
because
no
like
sense. Because if it's for smaller indie games, then at least the file size should fit on a fucking cartridge.
actually, you know what? I take that back. It might be for like AAA games because most AAA games, and we don't know what the file size of the, because we don't know if the cartridge itself has got more storage than before. Because I think that was a problem with like some of the later Switch games was the fact that like you have to. So for example, like Mortal Kombat 1, because that's the only thing I can think of right now. Like you put in the cart and you have to download like the additional content to make it work, which is like 20 gigs or whatever. It's not like a day one patch thing. It's like literally the rest of the game because it can't physically fit on the actual card itself because it has very limited amount of memory storage. So it might be a case of that. It could be like say like we don't know if this is gonna be true. I'm using this example right now. So say for example like say Cyberpunk 2077 comes out on the Switch. It might be on this game key card because the game cannot physically fit on the Switch 2 cartridges, and that way you have to kind of download the whole game from like the eShop potentially because it might be like 100
No,
gigs or
they've
whatever. I
already
don't.
announced. No, they've already announced it comes in a 64 gigabyte game card. It's not.
Okay, so, so it's not.
Cyberpunk is not a game key. It's a game card. It's on the fucking cartridge.
Yeah, I don't know.
They've
Like,
they've already announced that. CD Projekt on their own website have already announced that it's going to be a game card, not a game key card.
okay, yeah, this is very confusing. I don't know what it's for then. I don't know what this is for. Unless there's going to be games that are going to be hundreds of gigs big. That's the only
Yeah, but
justification I can
like
see.
the
I
only
don't
reason that
understand
games
it
are
further.
like hundreds of gigs these days is because they're putting like 4K textures onto everything. Like the Switch 2 probably doesn't have the VRAM to handle 4K textures. So there's no reason for a game to be that big. Like there's no modern excuse for the Switch 2 as far as I'm concerned, because everything about it is not going to have the horsepower to need fucking enough texture and audio data to be uncompressed. Like this is stupid.
All right, I'll concede. I don't know what it's for then. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. We'll have to find out more about this. This is yeah. This is a very confusing thing. We talked about it
I'm
yesterday.
gonna see
My
if I can
brain
find
was
which
like,
games have currently been announced for it. If they're if I can, I know there's been like a couple. If I can find which games are being announced for it, then
yeah.
maybe we can like find a reason. But
So whilst you
I
look for that, I'll quickly like just mention about game chat. So obviously there
for
was the
anyone listening, I am so sorry about me for the last like 5 minutes, by the way. But like, I genuinely and here's the thing: like, I'm still thinking about getting a Switch 2. I'm thinking about it. Like, I kind of want it, but also like just these things. Oh, okay. 2 games are currently announced as game key cards:
oh which two?
Street Fighter 6
Okay.
and Bravely Default Flying Fairy.
Why Bravery Default? That's very bizarre. That's interesting. Um, I wonder what the justification is for it. I don't know. It's strange.
Because fuck you. No, I think Nintendo are putting their foot in the door. I think Nintendo are putting their foot in their door to just just not have to deal with the usual process of
I
how
I
they have
kind
to
of
do
hope this
physical
is.
things and writing things
I'm gonna
to
say,
the
I
disc.
kind of hope this doesn't also like impact like. I hope it's not a sneaky way of trying to like mitigate the second-hand market thing because we've done that fight. We had that fight 10 years ago now or more, where like
It's
companies are.
Nintendo. It absolutely is.
It might
We
be
all
so.
know it is. It's not. It's pretty transparent. Like here's the thing, right? Nintendo, great games, love them, wonderful aesthetic. Mario Kart's the shit. Fucking, we're getting a new Kirby Air Ride. We'll get to that. New Donkey Kong looks hype. Hooray! But we have to not forget that Nintendo are another company who are evil. We can't forget that. We're always just like, oh, EA suck, and Ubisoft suck, and fucking Sony suck, and Microsoft suck, but Nintendo have Bowser and they're fun. No, Nintendo also suck, right? If Nintendo didn't suck, you'd be getting a port of another Metroid 2 remake on your Switch 2. But you're not getting that because they cease and desisted the fucker. So yeah, Nintendo also suck. Let's just not forget this. Switch 2 has some games that look fucking amazing. I can't wait. I want to play some of them. I'm thinking about getting it, but my god, are Nintendo making it hard.
That's fair. Your impassioned rant.
Like, the
Um,
Nintendo Switch 2 is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It 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 should just be the easiest. Like, it's the Switch 2. Just fucking throw the ball and it'll home into the net. You're getting 3 points, baby. But instead, they're putting Vaseline on the ball and making you pay for the fucking tech demo. Like, it just sell the fucking console like you did the Wii, and no one would have a problem.
so game chat. Um,
So game chat.
yeah. So the C button is game chat. This is a terrible segue. Um, So yeah,
No,
so
no,
like,
I think no, because this is the kind of rage you'll hear. Like we're bringing. I mean, if Game Chat does not bring back the spirit of Xbox Live,
oh
then
yeah.
I don't. Like, I mean, in terms of certain alt-right political opinions, I think we're due for an Xbox Live resurgence. Only it will be less edgy and more like actually genocidal rhetoric.
So when we saw this, like I kind of groaned a little bit, and I'm like, "Oh, really? You're doing a video about game chat? It's like this is something that's been like a standard on every other console for like maybe the last 10 years now, and kind of like Nintendo have been begrudgingly doing it. I mean, you obviously like I think like you have to use like the weird Nintendo Switch app thing to do like any kind of like voice chat thing. So I'm quite happy that they finally said, fine, we're gonna do actual like voice and party chat related stuff now for the Switch. Now I don't play a lot of I don't really do like a lot of party chat stuff on my consoles. I do sometimes on my PS5 when I'm playing with my friends like like GTA 5 or whatever. Um so I can't really kind of compare to like what Xbox and Sony do, but this looks like it's probably on the same level as that. It might even be slightly better in some ways because you can actually no, I think you can do on other consoles as well, but like you can actually see like what other people are doing in their games, not just the games that you're playing together, but also other games that they're currently playing. So you see in the video trailer that like some people are playing Mario Kart World, and some people are just playing some like Nintendo Switch NES games or whatever, or just whatever different games. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, like the video, the FPS of the video playback of other people's games is like a PowerPoint presentation, which is fine because you don't need it to be smooth like 30
Yeah,
frames per
that's
second.
I don't mind that. That's fine.
Um,
Like,
but the,
in,
oh, sorry, I'll let you finish your point.
although I don't know though, it's when you're playing other games, they showed like the four people. It's a PowerPoint presentation, that's fine. But there was a bit where they're like, oh yeah, they stopped playing their game and expanded the other person's stream to focus on it, and it was still a PowerPoint. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit disappointing. Like, I wish it would at least like go, oh, hey, you can put some resources into this. Um, uh, but I will say so I mean, again, Nintendo, they're never going to be a company that are going to even think about embracing the idea of a public in-game chat. They're never going to do that. So it's not going to like their focus very specifically was like the people who are on your friends list,
Yeah,
and and also because of Nintendo code sharing, like it's not like Xbox or PlayStation where you just click on someone's profile and add them to friends, like and get the invite. Like you have to share the codes. So there's always been that slight sort of barrier where like I think Nintendo always want to make it so it's more like, no, we want you to know the people you're talking to
yeah, because
because
obviously like they're very
we want to
family friendly, so they got to kind of like put
exactly
those
they want to
restrictions.
have that parental restriction.
Yeah,
Uh Although I will be interested to see if it'll be interesting to see if the like the game the console recognizes what games it's streaming. So if someone's streaming a game that's too high for someone's parental thing, whether it
they
blocks
did
that stream, would be
they
very interesting.
they did say like it's going to be compatible with like their parental app, so there probably will be something in
Hopefully, yeah.
something there. One
Um,
thing to mention as well is because obviously it's on the screen from right now is the fact that there is a peripheral camera that you can buy. Well, I say peripheral, it's a USB-C camera, but you can attach a web camera to your Switch 2, and you can actually have like video chats essentially, which is kind of really cool. And I kind of hope that maybe you could possibly even actually stream these on Twitch as well, because like you do have Twitch integration in on Xbox and also on PlayStation. In fact, you can do something similar on the PlayStation 5 actually, where if you've got like the PlayStation 5 camera, you can directly stream from your PS5 to Twitch with, and you can have like yourself in like the corner if you have like the actual PS5 camera. Obviously, like it's a very rudimentary setup for like a Twitch streamer, but if you're a professional, obviously you've got like the proper setup. But if you're just kind of like someone who casually does it, it could just be a fun little thing. I don't think Nintendo would allow it personally,
no,
but
no, 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 no.
it's
Nintendo are not embracing Twitch in a million years. They're not.
yeah,
That wouldn't happen. I think Nintendo are very much looking to the idea of their own first party solutions to a lot of problems, to a lot of things, because I mean, look, let's just say the elephant in the room. Other consoles have Discord. Let's just be honest.
yes,
Like we have to say it. We have to say it. Like Discord's a thing, and look, Discord's like Skype. Discord's gonna get complacent and it's gonna die in 10 years. All right, we all know it. Let's not pretend.
They're
Like
already they're
we all
already
know
limit
Discord's gonna get replaced by something at
they're
some
already
point.
limiting the bloody uploads of it, which is really
Yeah,
annoying.
exactly. Like so like Discord has its problems. I'm not gonna say that Discord is some magical perfect piece of software. It isn't. But Discord is now it is now the dominant ubiquitous one. The other consoles do it. Although admittedly their versions are pared down. As far as I can tell, I think the console versions can't watch streams or stream directly to
No, I don't
Discord,
think it can.
which is a massive like like as far as I'm concerned, that's a massive negative because that's such a big part of Discord's kind of thing is people streaming to each other. Um, but and this is very important, and this is tangentially related. Do you have the Nintendo Direct up on your screen right now, Harun?
Yeah, I think the part with the game shares just finished. So it's been kind of playing in
Can
the
you
background.
can you skip to 23 minutes and 48 seconds, please?
Um, I've got like the actual raw one, so it's got like the 40 minutes of like nothing. What's on the
Oh,
screen?
okay,
So tell
okay.
me what it is, and I'll be able to find it.
Uh, I'll just send you. I'll send you right now. I'll send you with the time code. There you go. You can click on that. It'll send you straight to the time code. Tell me when you see when you see it.
So look, it's just loading. So apologies anyone watching if you are watching. Yeah, I see it. With the people like, oh,
iToy 3,
you
baby!
know what? I was
We're
gonna.
back!
I was waiting to say that.
iToy 3!
I was waiting to mention the iToy.
iToy 3! We're so back! Fucking the best gimmick that you all rejected. The best gimmick that you all refused to accept was the predecessor to your god. iToy, baby. I use an iToy as my webcam for over like 9 years. It was garbage and it was the best. Fucking iToy rules. I I don't care what anyone says. Fucking iToy was cute. Connect would have been better if it was just an iToy.
God, I love the
And
Connect.
and although Connect did have Child of Eden, which is still one of the best games ever,
And also,
and Dance Central,
yep, Dance
Dance
Central.
Central, baby.
Oh no,
Dance
don't forget Star Wars
fucking
Connect.
and Star Wars. Dance Central's so good.
It is amazing.
It's one of those things where people Dance Central's actually legitimately a great game.
But it's
But yeah,
I
iToy, we're back.
yeah, I will say that like I'm quite happy that the webcam is actually used for like some little mini game stuff related stuff, which is kind of cool. Like I was kind of genuinely kind of surprised that oh, you can actually use the camera for like actual game related stuff. Like even like say it's primarily shown off in Mario Party. We can have like your character there, sorry, not your character, yourself there, doing little things and stuff. So I hope like maybe future games, like party game stuff, will use the camera as well. I don't see many games using it in outside of party related stuff, but I think it still will be fun.
It's the problem is that like they're selling the camera for 50 quid, and yes, they're making it so it's compatible with most USB-C cameras. So if you have a USB-C webcam, which not everyone does, but it's not too hard to get a converter for them.
Yeah,
Um, like that's fine. Like I understand the thought process behind that. It's one of those things though where I think it's too niche to really have a lot of games deal with. I think any game that's going to deal with that stuff is going to be massively kind of I don't know. They're going to be limiting their bakes if they actually like do more stuff based on it, which is why I think sneaking it in as a sort of Mario Party DLC is maybe probably the most we'll actually see of it, apart from a WarioWare game. As much
yeah.
as they're like, it opens up all of this fun potential, really, I think what it opens up is a cute little thing for your streaming voice chat and some Mario Party mini games and maybe a new WarioWare. But that's I think as far as it's actually going to go, and I think they might be banking on the like their little advertisement of like, oh, we're gonna have cool game ideas with it. It's like, no, you're not.
Well,
Or maybe okay. One thing, okay, I will say there is one thing that they didn't show off, and I hope it does work though, which is if you do have a Nintendo Switch camera and I'm using the fucking QR code stuff on the like the Zelda port, can I just show my QR codes to the camera and it will scan them in? Because if so, that's actually pretty cool.
well, since we're talking about like sort of these little, again, not using this word in derogatory sense, all these little gimmicks and like features and stuff of the Switch 2. I don't know if I want to quickly mention about the mouse controls. Um, that the Joy-Cons now have?
Yeah. Um, they're a thing. It's hard to know how it will feel until you get your hand on it. Because I mean, for me, with a lot of mice, I need very specific mice, otherwise my hands cramp really bad. Um, uh, so and like you have this like it's a flatter thing. You're gonna have to sort of hold it up a little bit. So it's how the grip works on that will be a thing and how accurate it is. Um, I think Nintendo's real problem with it isn't going to be if it's a good mouse. It could be a fantastic mouse, and like work responsively and feel nice in the hand. I don't know if it will, but it could. I think their biggest issue is actually going to be weirdly the test of the mouse isn't going to be how it works on tables because everyone's going to use it on their right leg.
Yeah.
Everyone is
I, I
like
I
that's
imagine if they
that
must have done some
that's
internal
the
testing on that.
test.
Yeah, that's true.
They they must, especially because they showed this like this I can't remember what it was called, the like wheelchair basketball game,
Yeah, yeah. I've actually got it on screen right
which
now.
I will say, by the way, fantastic inspiration for a game. Wheelchair basketball does not get enough love.
Absolutely,
If no one,
I was really surprised that they showed us. I'm like, wow, this is amazing because like I used to, I don't know if I remember. This is a very UK thing. Does anyone remember the CBBC show Desperados, which is about like wheelchair basketball? Like this
I never
reminds.
watched Desperados.
I love that show. And that was my first exposure to like wheelchair basketball. And I think this is really cool that like it's very kind of like inclusive in a lot of ways. Oh my god, I said the word. But but like it's really cool. Like
Oh no,
like
DEI, we've been taken down. They're gonna kill us.
but it's a great way of like
Um,
showcasing like the features of the Joy-Cons, like the motion controls and the mouse controls. And it'll basically be it's the equivalent to ARMS, which kind of showcase like the motion controls. And everyone thought
yeah,
ARMS
yeah.
was kind of like a mech game, and it turned out to be like an absolutely amazing fighting game. So I think this is obviously a Nintendo game. This might
They
be
did not
really good.
give Arms the continual love it deserved. Like
Oh, absolutely.
Splatoon, fucking is like we got 3 Splatoons and we got 1 Arms. Like, come on.
Yeah, and so like yeah, so yeah, that I'm gonna go back to it actually. Yeah, the wheelchair game looks really fun. So yeah,
Although I hope, I don't know if like they're marketing it as a full game or as like something smaller
I
because
I imagine it's gonna be a full game because this gives me a lot of ARMS vibes.
yeah. So it's like okay, like hopefully you're going to show more of this because obviously I think well, I mean even with the first Arms trailer, it's like we're just showing off the idea first and
Yeah,
then developing on it. So hopefully we'll see more on that if it
yeah.
is something
I am
bigger.
quite. I will say I do like the fact that Nintendo have not like abandoned motion controls and it's still around in some way. They use it very sparingly, and when they do use it, they use it really well. So I'm glad like
Yeah,
motion controls still have a place in the modern gaming landscape in some way, shape, or form. Because obviously, like with the Wii U and the Switch, they brought gyro controls to controllers, which has been like a godsend, especially if you're playing like like say Breath of the Wild or like some FPS games and stuff. Like just having that sort of that little extra like I wouldn't say precise controls, but that little extra kind of like bonus
yeah,
control of
yeah.
like moving your controller around has been so helpful. Um,
I think as well, like I will say, as much as we need to see how the mouse works and feels, and if it's actually more than a gimmick,
yeah,
um, the fact that Metroid Prime 4 uh, will run at 1080, 120 hertz with mouse controls, if you want that. So people who are used to PC games and that kind of control scheme are going to be more happy because I mean I find it very hard to go away from mouse controls on shooters now, so it's really nice that that's an option. Um, I hope it opens up a couple of things. I hope that it opens up a more PC ports, like Civ 7 is coming to it, and that's going to have mouse controls, so like they can just sort of port it a bit easier. I hope that makes it easier for certain PC games that are more mouse focused to kind of get ports. But also, I hope that it encourages developers to feel empowered to use the touch screen again, because if you can't use the touch screen and if you're in desktop mode you can use the mouse. I hope that that's the case because I think that the Switch having the touchscreen was kind of cool. Not a lot of games really took advantage of that. And I think having a mouse where it's like, okay, you could use a touchscreen, but if you've got it on a big screen, you could use a
for
mouse.
some reason,
I think that would
I'm
be
just
quite
looking at
nice.
like the little moment in the Metroid Prime 4 segment when like they're showing off some of the mouse controls. Oh, this gives me some reason vibes of the Wii. Like I feel like should it play more like I'm sure the mouse control is going to be really great, but I also wonder like why not use like the gyro and stuff like a Wii and the Wiimote and nunchuck because that worked quite well back in the day. Um, but that's like my only point really I have about the mouse control thing.
Well, because they don't have because even though like you can do controls like that, and like they do have games that show you can do stuff like that, you have to remember that there's all the
Eh,
Wii had infrared bars that it
Yeah, you
was
had like
looking
an
at.
actual sensor and stuff like because like I've used like the Switch where because it has like the gyroscope and the accelerometer and stuff, and it does an okay job as a pointer, but it's not as accurate as like say like the PlayStation Move or the Wiimote, especially the Wiimote with the Wii Motion Plus on it. So yeah, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and also it probably helps development a little bit if they don't have to do the motion control system because with the motion controls in Metroid Prime, um, the arm has to have its own animations for moving around the screen and like where and like you have to be able to set up where the edges of the screen before you start rotating are and in terms of animations because with the mouse it's always a central cursor as you see in the footage it's a central cursor it plays like looks like it plays like a standard PC mouse game in fact it looks like the lock on is actually not really a thing or if it is they're not using it in the footage um I think it definitely leads to a thing of like it probably makes it a little bit easier for FPS games to develop in that kind of way, just because it's like, okay, you have standard mouse controls, you don't have to like worry about screen space and having a dedicated button to reset the gyro because that can get lost sometimes and that kind of thing and like screen centering. It's like, no, just you just have a mouse. Like it's just a mouse. That's quite standardized
Yeah.
control scheme these days. Like FPSs and mice are very I mean I mean it's a little bit tangential, but Split Fiction is coming to the Switch.
I
They're
was
getting a port of Split Fiction.
I was gonna say like we've talked a lot about the hardware and stuff and pricing and rants and stuff. Like I think we're kind of ready to kind of talk about games. I guess like I don't know if there's anything
Yeah,
specific. I don't. We won't talk about every single game that was announced. I will say one thing though. Like one thing that's really good about the actual Nintendo Direct. No, that's not the only thing, obviously. Like, there's many great things about it. Is that a lot of the games that they've shown, I would say like 95% of the games that they've shown in this Nintendo Direct are games that are coming in the near future. So it's games that are coming out in 2025 and some games that are
yeah.
coming out in 2026. Only a handful were ones that were like coming soon or like, that haven't given like a definitive release date. So for example, like, Project 007, which is obviously still in active development. We don't know when that's coming out, but we know it's coming to the Switch too. There's also, which
So
was
crazy we saw nothing of that. Like so crazy. But it's like stay tuned for more. And I'm just like, we've been staying tuned for like 7 fucking years. Like we've been waiting for a while.
But I guess
Like,
like just because like as because you
if it's
mentioned
not
like
ready, it's not ready.
yeah, and I guess like because I'm being a Final Fantasy 7 fan, I want to just mention this really quick since you've on a tangent. I'm going to go on a slight tangent now as well. Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade was announced for the Switch 2. There is no release date for that. I'm very happy that the remake trilogy is now getting ported to other consoles. I was a bit of a skeptic. I was kind of like it should stay on the PlayStation because it was a kind of a PlayStation like its home is on the PlayStation. I'm still gonna buy it for PlayStation consoles for all three of them, but I know the sales of that game haven't been doing as well for Square Enix, so I get they've mentioned themselves they're going to be porting these over. I can imagine like when they announce the release date for Remake Intergrade, it's also going to probably coincide with an Xbox release as well. So we know that Remake's coming for other consoles, but we don't know anything about Rebirth yet. But that'll probably come at some point, like in probably in a few years' time.
If the
Closer to like
PC
part
port
three.
of Rebirth is anything to go by, it probably needs a bit of time and optimization to figure out how to get that to work because the PC version is it fights back
Yeah,
is all I'll say.
they'll probably learn a
It's
lot
not
from. They'll
it's
probably
not
learn
a
a lot
great
from it.
port.
They'll probably learn a lot from like the Steam Deck optimizations. So hopefully it'll probably run quite well.
Yeah,
I mean that's for Rebirth though. I mean like if Rebirth goes on the Switch too, I'll be very curious like how it's gonna play.
yeah.
But yeah, like are there
But
any sort
I
of
will say that there is a reason I mentioned Split Fiction though. I want to before I forget it.
yeah.
So the reason I did mention Split Fiction is actually I was playing it with a friend recently, and there was a hidden mini game in it which uh, essentially was a shooting target practice where each player had to kind of shoot targets. Um, and you got like bonus. It was a very fast mini game. You got bonus things for a headshot, all that sort of thing. And it's split fiction. We're playing it on controllers because that's it's clearly mainly designed around that. And with it's like how it switches up a lot of its control schemes and stuff, it clearly expects a controller. Um, and what's really interesting is I wonder if that game for its shooting segments will have mouse support on the Switch too, because we were playing it and we got to that mini game and we were trying to get the high score on it. There is a definitive high score you can get, um, where you have to get every target with headshots. And we were trying for a while, and we're both not like crazy FPS players. We're not super good with accuracy on a mouse or anything. But we both just as a joke decided to switch to a mouse for the shooting mini game after like 10 tries with a controller, and we got the perfect high score every headshot first time.
Nice.
And it just says so much about like mouse aiming in games. Like it's just like we're not good. This isn't us going, oh, we're so hardcore. No, it was just easy. It was just easy with a mouse in a way that it wasn't with a controller. Um, and
Uh,
that's not to diss controllers. I love controllers. I play with controllers all the time. I find them really comfy. It's just when it comes to shooting segments and shooting games, mice really do make sense, and it's very hard to kind of convey to people who don't play with mice who like because it takes a small adjustment period. It takes about a day of adjustment when you go from a console to a mouse to get any feel for it. But I honestly, in a weird way, if this low key sort of playing Metroid with the mouse version sneaks some people into PC gaming, that'd be kind of interesting as an accidental knock-on effect. I'd be fascinated to know if that does anything. Um,
are there any other games that you would like to kind of discuss? Any kind of highlights that kind of pop
I
out
mean,
to you?
Mario Kart World, obviously. It's Mario Kart, but it's fuel. It's fuel is back, but it's Mario Kart. Um, it will be interesting to see how.
I like to call it
It will be interesting to
Mario.
see.
I like to call it Mario Kart Horizons because it gives me a lot
Well,
of
yeah, yeah,
like.
or rally. It feels like a rally game to me in a weird way.
It seems to be like their biggest like Mario Kart to date because obviously they've mentioned like it's no longer just 12 races, it's 24 races, and you can kind of feel it like when I first saw it like before they even announced like how many like races there are, like the widths of the tracks are huge, like the bends and everything.
Oh,
Like it's not as
it
tight as like
reminds me
older
of like
ones.
it reminds me of like Motorstorm.
Yeah,
Like in that like 24 players, kind of like these wide tracks that clearly have like multiple routes. And if it is like Motorstorm in terms of that kind of design, that could be really good. I'm going to trust them that this works,
I
and that
wonder
this feels good.
I wonder if this is gonna have 200cc. Like it must do, surely, because like how big these tracks
Yeah,
are, and so how
yeah,
big the world seems. Because you can essentially go from like one point of the world to another. Because they did mention like you can basically just do like one massive race. Because I think that's one of the things that they
yeah,
mentioned is like you have to place in a certain position in order to actually progress to the next track. And it's like oh it loads into the next track. It's like no, you just keep going until you get from
yeah.
point A
Like
to
you
point B.
drive to the next track into like an in between section.
Yeah.
My concern, and it's a very little one, and it's one that I have to it's will it have the longevity and the memorability of tracks? I think that like I've been playing a lot of racing games recently, and as much as I can understand the idea of like, oh, you kind of want that diversity as you go through a track so that it transforms and kind of is interesting. I think there is something to be said about lap-based racing games, and Mario Kart has always been one that's very memorable because of the fact that because you kind of get to know the track so well and you know those laps. It's like I get it. Like everyone loves Warrior Mountain. Warrior Mountain is a great track, and it is a sprint track. Like it's a point-to-point sprint track. There are no laps. It says laps 1, 2, and 3, but it's not. It's parts 1, 2, and 3 because it never goes back on itself. Um, and that's kind of cool. But I don't. I am curious to see how I would feel about the idea that every track is a sprint track. It's kind of, will that make certain parts of it less memorable? Will there be less stories? Like as like here's the thing, right? Everyone hates Baby Park. Everyone hates Baby Park. Baby Park is a travesty of a circuit. But that's also why everybody loves Baby Park, because it's so stupid. The concept of Baby Park is so stupid and so wonderfully funny. And you can't put Baby Park into this because it's not a sprint track. You could maybe do something that kind of whines like a San Francisco stairway in fucking Drive of San Francisco, but you can't. You don't have the Baby Park thing, and I really want to know whether moving away from circuits makes the game feel more original and alive, or whether it actually makes it blend. That's my fear, because I love a lot of I've been playing so many games. I'm playing the Crew Motorfest recently. I fucking went back and played uh Burnout recently. Like a lot of the old Burnout games, I'm playing them. I'm playing all of these racing games, and they're all interesting. But like stuff like uh Burnout Paradise, where there are no circuits and it's all in the open world. It's fun, but it blurs together. It really does. It all blurs together. Whilst in a lot of other games where like there are circuits, like I was playing the Crew Motorfest recently, and a lot of the races in that are sprint to sprint, and they're really fun, and there are parts of the map I know, and and that map is designed well, so it doesn't always blur together, and there are like parts of like, yeah, like I know this bit. But in that world there's a racing circuit, and like, and you have missions that are just lap races in the racing circuit, and weirdly they're more memorable. I found them more memorable and engaging because I got to kind of know the track lap to lap and have a relationship with like certain corners, you know, because when you're doing lap to lap you're going to see certain corners more. um so it's going to be interesting um to see whether having it all go sprint where you go across multiple biomes, I'm sure it's going to feel epic and cool and really exciting, and I'm looking forward to
I
that.
think to be
But
fair,
i,
like
I
with
do
the
worry about personality
Yeah,
a
I
bit.
think some of the person might be slightly lost, but I think like watching back on the video as well, like I think they've kind of focused a lot more on the sort of the larger sort of sprint-esque races and stuff. But it does look like you do see it like in the trailers, or trailer, sorry, the single one, that there are lap-based ones. So obviously, like say like you got the Fire Cup, like the Star Cup and stuff. Like you drive to that area, there is like an actual lap like circuit that you can go through, and then obviously you can break off from that back into like sort of the main roads,
Oh,
to the
okay,
next
okay.
to the
I
next
didn't,
one.
I didn't see that. If
Yeah.
that's the case, then I take that all back, and this entire last 5 minutes was a waste of everyone's
No,
time.
I think like you do kind of lose a little bit of the personality because obviously like the kind of the crazy kind of like turns and like stuff like that. Maybe like because obviously being it like okay, this is a section of a world. Here's a lap. Some of the laps that you kind of see in the background kind of look like a NES sort of lap, where it's just like you kind of go through it and there's very little like kind of obstacles and these kind of things. It kind of feels more like a drivey. I could be wrong, but we'll find out more on the 17th when they do an actual like Mario Kart World Direct.
Yeah,
We'll learn more about it. But yeah, it's like obviously there are
I'm
lap
trying
based
to
and
look in
they're
the
all connected.
background. I'm trying to look in the background of all the footage to see if there are any non-Mario characters, because it's very interesting. I think from what I can tell, because they haven't shown it off whether it's coming to the Switch 2 or not, but obviously we know that Sonic Cross Worlds is a thing,
Yeah,
um, and is a spiritual successor to All Stars Transformed, which is, for anyone who hasn't played All Stars Transformed, you need to. It's one of the most underrated kart games. It's phenomenal. The map design in Transformed is I honestly think pretty unmatched in any kart racer. There are some wonderfully inventive tracks in that game. But at least from the footage I can see, I can't tell if maybe, no, that's not a Splatoon character. It looks like from all the wide footages, every single character is just a Mario character.
yeah.
And
Eight,
all of the world is Mario themed. It's not
yeah. I think
like
eight
obviously
was
like a,
the 8 was the outliner where they're kind of like, oh, when we're doing the DLC, like, we're gonna bring in some extra Nintendo
Kind of go
sort of
Smash
characters and
mode
stuff.
with it, you know.
Yeah, I think people were even saying like, why don't they just do like Nintendo Kart, where like we can have all the other characters in there as well. I think that's obviously the exception rather than the norm. It's not to say you don't get sort of guest characters in Mario Kart. Obviously, we had it in Mario
Oh
Kart
yeah,
8. The arcade
but
game has like Pac-Man. Um, so
I
maybe.
more mean about like the themes of
Yeah,
tracks
yeah,
though,
yeah,
because obviously in later stuff in Mario Kart 8 we got like F-Zero and stuff like that as
yeah.
tracks, and it was really interesting. Of it, and I'm only bringing this up just because it's interesting that Nintendo and Sega are doing the same thing right now, where not that their games are similar, they're not. They're going for completely different gimmicks, um, but but they're both they both have this kart racer that is known for collaboration and variety of worlds and these kind of like, I mean, if you ever played All Stars Racing Transformed, like there's so many absolutely wild choices for tracks. There's a Skies of Arcadia track. There's fucking Burning Rangers as a track. There's so many wild swings in that game that go beyond just Sonic. Um, and in fact, the least interesting tracks in that game are the Sonic ones. Um, and and it's a bit weird just because both franchises, they've both had this like beloved kart racer that, and it's not the reason they loved it, but one of the reasons that people did like it were the insane sense of just variety and kind of tribute to all of these weird games. um and with this and with the Sonic one, it looks like they're both being like, no, this is Mario stuff, this is Sonic stuff, and we're going to kind of build our worlds around that, and like our tracks are going to be based around that, and they're both going to have a ton of variety. I'm sure they're both going to have all of these. I mean, even the Mario World things, we saw city stuff and dusty backwater stuff and a fucking snow mountain and all these sorts of things, all cool, and a jungle and all these things, but especially when it comes to like adding new tracks in the future and like adding that stuff, yes, it will give them both a very defined personality. Sonic will be the Sonic one and Mario will be the Mario one, and they won't be the bizarre mishmash where for some reason the Yogscast and Team Fortress 2 are on the PC version. That's real. Football Manager is a character in fucking All Stars Transformed. Insane choice. Um, but it does, it's weird. I'm mixed on it because it's like I do dislike the idea of just throwing nostalgia in our faces and going, look, this is the thing you recognize. But in a weird way, by not having a specific set personality, both Transformed and Car 8 kind of gained one in a very bizarre way from just the absolute wild shots that they sometimes took. And I just worry that both franchises focusing on their main characters might take away some of the wonderfully weird choices. Um, Especially because, as far as we can tell, wait, no, I'm gonna check. I heard someone say that it looked like Zero G was gone, but I want to check if that's true. I don't know that.
You can see like the closest you can get is like you can kind of like parkour off some walls and stuff. But when I was watching it, like it looked like the zero
Oh
G
yeah, I
stuff
don't see
is
any
gone.
Magna tracks. Yeah,
Yeah, which is like obviously one of the features in 8. I mean, not every feature from every Mario Kart game is like follows through. I mean, like the paragliders stuff has been a staple now since 7 on the from the 3DS. That's still
yeah.
around. I think some of the underwater stuff might be as well. So I think there's a few things that are still sticking around. So it's a shame that like zero G might not be a thing anymore. But yeah. Anything else in terms of games? Um, Anything that kind of sticks out to you that you'd like to talk about? Obviously, there's Metroid Prime 4, which we obviously know is coming both to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. It's one of the very few
I
games
mean,
where we actually know that there's going to be a qualitative mode and a performance mode,
yeah.
as it was actually mentioned. I'm curious to be like what other games are going to have a quality mode and a performance mode, because obviously, like the hardware is going to be, it's not as good as like say like like we talked a bit about hardware earlier, but like we don't know if like what the hardware standards are going to be. Like we don't know if it's going to be like is it going to be the same power as like say like a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, or is it kind of be closer to like a Series S? Probably not. But
Yeah,
so I wonder like how many games are going to have like this quality mode and a performance mode. So quality mode for Prime 4 is going to be for 4K 60 frames per second with HDR. In handheld mode, it's going to be 1080p with 60 frames per second with HDR, which is quite good. But if you're going performance mode, it's going to be 1080p with 120 FPS with HDR. That seems pretty
yeah.
good. Um,
That seems pretty good. I'm not saying this to like downplay the console's power. I'm just gonna say though, let's all put in perspective. That's not gonna be native. Like upscaling is gonna be happening.
yeah, yeah,
There's no way upscaling is not happening. Like it's going for 4K especially. Upscaling's happening, but it's Nvidia. If anyone knows DLSS is very good. It does its job very well. So
yeah.
it should. What I'm going to do is to keep this from going on too long. I'm just skipping through the conference. And I'm just going to go through everything, and we're just going to, if either of us want to pause and say something, we can just go into that on the topic. But we can just kind of get through it.
Yeah,
Mario Kart World, obviously. Game chat goes into the return of DS Download Play. They're calling it Game Share. It's DS Download Play. Which I mean, some of my best memories of the DS and some of the best memories I have in school with my friends is from DS Download Play. Like, oh my god, we played so much Mario 64 multiplayer together. So that's really great. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. We've already talked about that. The glorious C button.
oh god, I love the C button.
There's a chat button. Microphone jack in the controller. The controller has 2 back buttons
Which is great.
on
Like
the triggers.
that's usually like reserved for like a pro controller almost most of the time.
Yeah. I think that should be standard, just because I had it on a controller once. I've only had one controller with it on. But I was playing Shadows of Mordor, and in Shadows of Mordor you have to hold A to run. So I just changed one of the back buttons to A, and I could like sprint, and I could look around with the right stick while I was sprinting. It was great.
Just to say that with the Switch Pro controller 2, like on the UK side of things, it does cost like £75. Out of curiosity, let's just see what the normal Switch Pro controller costs. I think it's around 50 to 60. Um, Come on, I gotta stop filming now. Actually, it's 50. It's 50 quid, so it's like it's gone up by about nearly £20. Which is probably like a standard. Like if you like for these pro controllers, like when I say pro, I mean like the
Mm.
Xbox One and the PlayStation One. It's like
Yeah, it's
close to
about
100.
where I think those
Yeah,
are as well. They're around the 50 to 70
still
mark.
a bit pricey for me to be honest. Like £75 for that just for extra 2 controllers. But I get it. Like it's probably more like hard like
Yeah.
more functions in the controller. I'm hoping that the speaking of controls, I hope like the pro controllers from the Switch One and even the Joy Cons are backwards are compatible with the Switch 2. I know you can't like physically put the actual Joy Cons in there, but at the very least use them. Um,
Oh yeah, if they're not, that'd
against
be very annoying.
yeah.
Like I hope they look, because if we learn anything from the Wii, from like as much as people shit on the Wii U that used Wii controllers, and it made that game console so much more usable for everyone.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, so most Nintendo Switch 1 games are compatible. They have a list on their website. They are currently debugging many games, so they are being at least transparent about what games currently have glitches only on the Switch 2 that they're trying to fix, which is good. Periphery-based Switch 1 games are not going to be compatible, so
Yeah, which makes
Labo is
sense.
dead. Sorry.
Which makes sense. Like I think
RIP.
any time like a new console comes out, anything that's got specific peripherals is just going to be dead in the water. You can't play them.
Yeah, exactly. Although one of the games they showed off that you can play on the Switch 2 from the Switch 1 is Mario Strikers Battle League, which if you haven't played Mario Strikers Charged, this is your advertisement to play Mario Strikers Charged and never play Strikers Battle League, because Battle League sucks and Charged is really good. And if they don't ever announce a port for Charged on the Switch 2, I will kill someone. God damn it, we need Mario Strikers Charge back. Mario Party Jamboree, we kind of talked about that briefly with the upgrade packs. That's getting upgrades. We're getting upgrades to
Zelda.
Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Both getting upgrades. Both will be paid for. Uh,
Pokemon's also getting
Kirby,
updates as well. There'll be a Switch 2 edition, which will have, I think, some additional content as well.
yeah. Kirby in the Forgotten Land is getting a Switch 2 edition, which is getting a DLC as its upgrade pack. So that's again, if it's DLC based, I do not mind that nearly as much. What's the name of this fucking game?
Drag Drive, the
Drag Drive. That was it. Yeah.
The wheelchair. Yeah. Wheelchair basketball. Elden Ring.
Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, which for anyone who saw the frame rate, that edition sure looks fucking tarnished to me. Look, easy joke to make, but like, I mean, look, I'm sure that they're working on it, and like, it's I mean, if anyone's played the PC version of Elden Ring, it's not the most optimized game in the world. It never ran super smooth for anyone.
I don't have any real interest in Elden Ring. Like we played it, we both physically like stopped playing it, like legitimately. That was the funniest moment of my life when that happened.
Hades 2 got an announcement, Switch 2, which I mean, no surprise because when Hades released on the Switch, that was its 1.0 version. I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing the same. Whether or not. Street Fighter 6, which also has the Catwoman thing. A new Daemon X Machina game.
That was very surprising.
Underappreciated game.
Yeah.
Underappreciated little game.
The second one looks really good. Like, it looks a lot better than the first one. Obviously, you can definitely see here like the graphical upgrade of the Switch in comparison to that first one.
Yeah. Split Fiction getting its announcement. The footage on that, I mean, I'd say it looks better than the Elden Ring footage does. For the most part, it looks smoother and crazier. Definitely a graphical downgrade from the version I've been playing, but like, the night and day difference of performance between the hardware I have and the console, and it's a fucking handheld, and this PC is like, I mean, I can't hold this in my fucking hand, right? This is heavy as shit. So I'm not going to complain. Split Fiction's great, by the way, and it looks like the Switch 2 version, it looks graphically downgraded, but it looks comparable. It looks fine. So
yeah,
I don't think anyone playing that's going to have an inferior experience. EA Sports announcing stuff. Turf Wizard game got announced. Fucking.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
just to say, anyone listening to this, if you do buy the Turf Wizard game, I'm trans. I hate you, so it's all good. Just want to make sure our relationship is set here. Tony Hawk's 3 and 4. We got some footage of that. It was good.
IO Interactive announcing that the Hitman trilogy, I think, is coming to Switch 2, as well as obviously Project 007.
Can I just say about Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 though? It looks good, but I'm still really disappointed that they're going to the 1 and 2 2-minute format for it, and not the 3 and 4 free roam format.
Yeah,
I can feel about that.
I can understand.
I feel mixed.
4 was the only one I've never played properly, so like for me, I'm probably not gonna miss it. I'll probably go back and play the original at some point. But yeah, I missed out on 4.
Bravely Default Flying Fairy seems like a mostly straight port, but with up-res models. And I mean, the DS, if anyone actually ever looks back at the DS's resolution, you'll be surprised how low it is.
3DS. It's a 3DS game, just to clarify.
Okay. The 3DS's resolution was 800 by 240 pixels, which I think a lot of people get very surprised when it's like, oh my god, wait, it was that low? Like the pixel density on the 3DS was never particularly crazy. But in the same way that like CRT monitors can sometimes hide how certain games look when you run them raw, and it kind of gives them a different look that kind of can look quite nice. I think the 3DS is the same way. I think the lower resolution fits it quite well sometimes. And I'm saying this because I don't think Bravely Default looks great when up-resed straight. I think it it looks a bit awkward in a way it probably didn't in the lower pixel rates. Um, so yeah, cool that game's gonna get more love, but definitely a bit of an awkward sort of port. I think. I think that just even though it probably looks exactly the same as what the DS was rendering, just that change in resolution fundamentally changes how the game looks in a way that doesn't suit it in a really awkward, sad way. Um,
After that, we've got
Great game from what I hear though.
yeah, it's a great game. Yakuza Zero Director's Cut. I don't know anything about Yakuza, sorry, but
I have a friend
looks
who
fun.
fucking loves it.
So it looks great. One thing that's really cool is it Koei have announced in collaboration with Nintendo Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. So it's a pre. Oh wait, the games I've been through.
Prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. Sequel to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say anything about specific story element, but it's about like how Ganondorf specifically got imprisoned. Which is gonna be pretty cool. So like I didn't play the Age of Calamity one, so I don't really have anything to compare. I played
My
the original Hyrule Warriors like on the Wii U. I do actually want to get that one.
I have a worry about Age of Imprisonment. I have a real worry.
Is it the fact that it might do some weird time travel-y BS thing like the Age of
No,
Calamity did?
no, nothing to do with Zelda. Actually, entirely to do with the Warriors part of that title.
Oh, okay. Is it that it might not be as good as like the new because you mentioned it like you
So
played.
there's a really awkward problem that Koei Tecmo have right now, which is that Dynasty Warriors Origins experimented and did some very big experiments with the franchise in terms of what it could be and more importantly how it should play. And essentially Origins completely reinvented how Dynasty Warriors should play from now on. And anyone who's played Dynasty Warriors Origins, even if you're not a huge fan of like the one protagonist thing and just see it as an experiment on how it should play, I think it's generally agreed upon that Dynasty Warriors games have always been cathartic. Warriors games have always been cathartic, but in terms of action games, they've never been particularly complex. They've always been quite sort of repetitive in a lot of ways, but they're fun. They're cathartic fun that you run around and beat a bunch of things in. Um, and and Origins has so fundamentally shifted, at least for Dynasty Warriors fans, the opinions of how good a Dynasty Warriors games can play now. Like just the way it plays is such a fundamental shift, and it's amazing. And if you haven't played Dynasty Warriors Origins, I promise you, like really listen to me at this. It is one of, if not the best games of the year so far. It is an incredible game, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. It is a truly phenomenal action game that plays brilliantly, shockingly good PC port for Koei Tecmo as well, which actually makes me quite looking forward to their Switch 2 stuff because they've now shown with Origins that they can optimize their games. Like finally, Koei Tecmo released an optimized game, and it was very good. But just the way that game plays is such a shift and such a seismic shift that I can never go back to play a Warriors game again. I have seen how good it can be. There's a YouTuber I follow called The Cleric who described Dynasty Warriors Origins as my trash fast food franchise decided to suddenly become fine fucking dining. And that really is like where Dynasty Warriors is now post Origins. We can't go back. And I really worry that because of the time that this was being developed and because Origins was an experiment that worked, that they might not have been able to put the ideas because they weren't maybe as confident in them in this one. And I really worry that this is going to play more like a classic Warriors game, which there's nothing wrong with that. It'll be good. Warriors games are good, but we have now seen what fantastic looks like, and it's going to hurt Hyrule Warriors if it doesn't take the lessons from Origins, because we're in a new era of Warriors games now, and if Hyrule Warriors takes us back, I think a lot of Warriors fans are kind of gonna riot. If like more hardcore fans of the franchise are gonna be like, oh no, you can't get away with that now because we know what you can do. Like we know how good you can do this. Um, it will still, I'm sure it'll still be good, but it's just a thing for like for people who are fans of Warriors games. If you like Hyrule Warriors at all, if you like any of the Warriors games and have ever liked them, genuinely, I implore you, play Origins. It is it is a genuine it is a masterpiece of the genre. Like this is the peak of what this genre can be now in terms of gameplay. Sorry for that rant, but I do think like with Hyrule Warriors, it's important to talk about just because like Origins feels so much like we're entering a new era, and Hyrule Warriors has the potential to really stifle that momentum in a way that I don't know how I feel about if it does. If it does,
So after that, impassioned
GameCube
rant.
stuff.
Yes. Yeah. GameCube is coming to um, the Nintendo Online, which is really cool. So obviously we're getting like, we're getting obviously Wind Waker. It's a shame we still haven't got a port of the Wii U version. Which is a crying shame. But hey, you got the original classic. I guess my only kind of like complaint with the original is there was some like really nice sort of quality of life changes that the Wii U version made to the game just
Well,
to
that's
kind
just
of
to me why
improve
it's
it.
surprising that we're not getting a port of it because it's like, I mean, people like when they're like, oh yeah, you can play Wind Waker. It's okay, so they're probably not going to super focus on getting the Wii U port out of it, but like the Wii U port was really good. It
Yeah,
was a very good port.
it was fantastic. It looked beautiful. Like it had a lot of quality of life changes that kind of made it better. Like I know that there's the Triforce pieces hunt, which they kind of like scale down. Um, like you can get a sail, which you didn't have to kind of always stop and then change the wind direction, so it made it just a little bit easier. But now we're kind of going back to that. I'm curious as like what happened with the actual like tingle mechanics, because obviously you can't connect a Game Boy Advance. Um, so like let's see how that goes. But yeah, we're getting F-Zero, we're getting Soul Calibur 2.
Oh, breaking news! Nintendo Switch 2 does use DLSS. That has just been announced. That
Nice.
is correct. It is using its proprietary version of DLSS.
And there's gonna be like a handful of other like uh GameCube games coming out. So there's like Pokemon Stadiums, like the XD1, Mario Strikers, Chibi Robot, Luigi Mansion, Pokemon Colosseum. So obviously like you kind of like your highlight kind of like GameCube titles. I don't know. We'll have to see like maybe like in a year or so's time. Like maybe we'll get some third party Nintendo GameCube games in
Do,
this. Maybe we'll see
do I
like
have to
Eternal
be subscribed
Darkness.
to play them though, or can I just buy them?
You
Because I kind of
have
just want to buy
to
them.
you have to have a Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh, that's
Uh,
shitty. I just want to buy them.
Service. But it's not even that, you have to have the expansion pack one. So the base one only has
Ugh.
like stuff from like say NES up until I think I want to say Game Boy. So you can get like you can get NES, SNES, Game Boy games.
Yeah.
But the expansion version gives you more. So you get like N64, you get Mega Drive, and now you get Game Boy Advance, and now obviously GameCube. Like, I have the I have the membership and I have the expansion pack. So for me, I'm like, yeah, this is great. So I'm happy. So I'm okay with that.
It's cool. It's just obviously like, and because also what I was saying over Wind Waker, like I still want them, like even if they release the Wii U one, I still want them to give the GameCube one because like game preservation, I want the
Yeah,
originals
yeah.
to still be there. I mean, Soul Calibur 2, fuck yeah.
They're
And
also
F Zero
releasing
GX,
like with
fuck yeah.
every console, like that they got for the Virtual Console, like they're also releasing a controller that will be compatible with it. So there's going to be a Nintendo GameCube Switch 2 controller, which is great. Which will also have the C button on it as well. So they make sure that it's going to be compatible with all the sort of the cool functionalities
Very
with it.
confusing because that console has the C stick, so it's like use the
Yeah,
C. So,
the C button and the C
um,
stick.
kids getting confused. Yeah, I mean, like, still, F Zero GX getting a shout out was nice. Soul Calibur 2 fucking getting a shout out was nice because these are classic games. Uh, anyway, going to the next. Although, again, I still wish I could just buy them.
Yeah,
Um,
you
and
get
I still hope we can get the Wii library because I want to play Mario Strikers Charged. That's the real, that's the one that matters as far as I'm concerned. Uh, but
Delta.
then if they did do Wii titles though, they'd have to bring out Super Mario Galaxy, which invalidates their entire artificial scarcity bullshit they did a few years ago with that. So
Yeah, so
also, yeah, I just want to quickly say, fucking for every like good thing that we say about Nintendo, obviously we've had the previous rants, but also don't forget that they artificially scarcitied the fucking Mario Galaxy port.
Oh yeah.
Because fuck you. Yeah, Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 coming out on Switch 2 release day. It's coming out for everyone. So like your PC versions and all of that will get upgraded. But yeah, 3 and 4 now has a release date. I've only played chapter 1 when that came out. It was really good. Although when I played that, that was when it was a if people may not remember, Deltarune Chapter 1 was like a bait and switch where it the exe file looked like it was a survey for what the next Undertale game should be. So it pretended it was like a survey to get you interested in like the next Undertale game, and then it turned out to be a full game, which was really cool. No idea what happens in chapter 2. Heard people like it. 3 and 4, fuck yeah. I mean, like, these are good games.
After that, we've got
Randy Pitchford jump scare.
Yep,
Randy Pitchford.
He looks weird without his beard. I'm just saying. Like, I'm sorry.
I have so like look, I have so many problems with Randy Pitchford, especially now the realization that because of when they last showed off Borderlands 4 in another conference, there was another guy called Randy there, so there are 2 Randys now. Hopefully it's like a sort of good evil like twin dichotomy. That'd be interesting. That's a plot line I want to see go on in the next season of the weird disaster of Gearbox software.
But but it's cool that Borderlands 4 is coming. Like, it's good to see like a big multiplayer game like that like coming to the Switch
it's
too.
cool. And also, here's the problem, right? Borderlands 3, I mean, everyone hates because the fucking dialogue they just don't shut the fuck up, right? Like Borderlands 3 is so annoying on an audio level to listen to, which sucks because Borderlands 3 is a phenomenal RPG shooter. It plays fantastically, and the guns and all of the like skills and stuff are really interesting and fun and funny, and the world is like really cool to go around, and it plays super good. The movement feels super good. So here's the thing. Borderlands 4 will probably feel good and be a really well playing game. We need to we need to wait for the story trailer to find out if any of us want to buy it. Because it's like, yeah, you know, I know supporting Gearbox and whatever, but it's still like it's still like just a thing of, if the dialogue of Borderlands 4 isn't the most annoying thing ever, there's a potential to just do Borderlands 3 but with not annoying dialogue, and it would actually be a very good game. So
yeah, after
Borderlands
Borderlands
came on with Civ 7.
Yep.
I don't know much about Civ 7. I know that people don't like it. Not a loved one from what I've seen. But
yeah,
it has mouse support, which is what I was saying about PC porting. PC games that you wouldn't expect to see on console could probably make their way. Like RTSs and stuff might have a weird home on the Switch if the mouse support is good.
Yeah, we'll have to see as much people get their hands in it. 2K have also said, like, obviously they're bringing WWE games to it as well, which is great.
Yeah, WWE and NBA. Although, just to quickly go off track, but 2K are also infamously, like, their games have just the worst monetization in the world. Like, fucking, you know, I say all this joke about like, oh, Nintendo are an evil company that hate you, and it's like, yeah, they are, but like 2K are an evil company that really fucking hate you. Like 2K are evil. Like of all of all the companies, of your Ubisofts, of your EAs, fucking the 2 that people don't talk about as being the really evil ones are 2K and Warner Brothers. They're the really evil ones that just get away with it for some reason, and we need to stop. Okay, I keep hearing like we rightly go when we say EA and Ubisoft. These are the correct reaction to those words. Even as someone who likes Ubisoft games, fucking correct reaction. But when someone says 2K and Warner Brothers, people don't immediately run away in disgust, and that is a problem as far as I'm concerned. We have made a bad society.
I forgot what I was gonna.
Survival
I was
kids.
gonna say, like I said, like so WWE and NBA. I'm not surprised, but obviously there were like rumors about like because the CEO of like 2K did mention, or Take Two, sorry, did mention that about GTA 6. It didn't specifically say like GTA 6 wouldn't come to the Switch 2. I don't think anyone would expect if there was any GTA game coming, it would have been in the direct like
Five. It'd probably be
Rocks.
five if they do in like a year.
Yeah, and
But
like
that'll be with the Skyrim edition as well.
oh my god. But yeah, like
Skyrim's coming to the Switch too. They haven't announced it, but we all know it.
yeah.
We all know it. No one doesn't know this. We all know Skyrim's coming to the Switch
Mm.
too. We all know it.
So they do
In
start
our
showing off.
hearts.
So like in this part of the direct now, they're probably showing off like a bunch of sort of indie games. I don't think we're gonna kind of. I don't. We probably shouldn't like talk about every single one of them unless there's any that really kind of stick
No,
out.
no, we won't go with any detail. Like I said, if there's one you want to talk more about, we'll just go through all of them and just pause and interrupt me if you want to say more.
Yeah,
I'll just quickly say though, I fucking love Enter the Gungeon, and hearing that it's getting a sequel and that Dose One is still doing the soundtrack is
yeah,
just wonderful news because
and
Enter the Gungeon is wonderful.
it looks great. It's
Um,
gonna be like a lot of fun. I never actually completed the game. Like I've put so many hours into it,
mm.
but I've never actually like completed the dungeon or the gungeon.
And
It's very
Enter the
difficult.
Gungeon is it used to be my favorite of the top down like roguelike shooters. I now have a new favorite which is Voidigo. Voidigo fucking like takes certain ideas from Gungeon and like runs with them in really interesting ways. And everyone should play Voidigo. And before you go, what the fuck's Voidigo? I know you're all playing Repo these days. Everyone is fucking playing Repo right now. I am also playing Repo. Repo is great. Repo is the first game by the Voidigo is the first game by the people who made Repo. So if you like Repo and you like that weirdness that they have, because they have a really weird style, play Voidigo, send them some money because Voidigo is really good and it's underappreciated. But yeah, Enter the Gungeon 2, good. Starseeker, presumably a bigger Astroneer multiplayer MMO thing. We don't really know, but
Yeah, but it looks cool. Cyberpunk
yeah.
2077 is coming to this Switch 2, which was a bit of a surprise. I was kind of kind of see that one. We talked about it earlier.
Keanu Reeves, he's coming to invade your console, baby.
Yeah, so it's the Ultimate Edition, so you can have like the DLC, the Phantom
Idris
Liberty.
Elba's
Yeah.
invading your console.
It's great. No word about the sequel, unlike IO, which they did mention, like, hey, we're going to also bring in our other game to it. So maybe in a few years' time, we might find out if Cyberpunk 2078 or whatever the sequel to this game is going to be. If
Honestly,
that'll come
as
to
much
Switch
as
2.
like the Switch 2 does have more horsepower, and they're going like, oh yeah, it's got more horsepower, so don't worry. This is still going to be a Doom 2016. How the fuck did they do this on the Switch fucking situation? Like, I do wonder how the fuck they're gonna like if it runs at all. Well done.
Yeah,
Um,
we've already talked about Final
Remake
Fantasy. Yeah.
integrates.
How long?
Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess, launching day one. Fantastic game. Everyone should play it.
I think at this point now there's
Um,
just like a massive like deluge of just
this is the
games.
montage. We're on the
Yeah,
montage
so
now.
but basically you see from this
Um,
montage there's like a ton of games that are coming out this year and some
yeah.
next year.
So yeah, we
A
got
lot,
a
a lot
fucking
of
Silk Song finally got 5 seconds of footage after all this time, and everyone clamoring for it. Silk Song was shown off in a montage, which is hilarious. There's almost trolling on Nintendo's part. That like, there's no fanfare for Silk Song. It's just it's a game.
It's quite nice.
No fanfare.
Star Wars Outlaws was a bit of a surprise. I'm surprised they're coming out the same day as launch. But it's coming out this year at some point.
Story of Seasons, which I know I play those games. Apparently quite good. People like them.
Fast Fusion looks sick, obviously.
Good Night Universe, weird baby game that could be interesting. 2 Point Museum, the 2 Point things is the thing. Wild Hearts is getting a Switch port. Very unexpected. Maybe they can use some of the lessons from that to make the PC port or any version of that game work. Because Wild Hearts is a good game where the performance is so garbage it actually ruins the entire game. Because it's the sort of game that requires like frame precision, and it's hard to get frame precision when your frame rate's stuttering. So, yeah, Witchbrook by Chucklefish. That looks nice. I think it's Chucklefish, the people who made Wild Frost. I think so.
Yes, they published it. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Wild Frost is a great game as well. Everyone should play that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Witchbook. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S. Puyo Puyo Tetris is people like it. So Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Yep, Star Wars Outlaws, as you said. Fucking Nobunaga's Ambition is getting a port, which is I wonder if that will have mouse support. The screenshot they showed and the thing shows a mouse. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it shows a
it's
cursor.
a
Yeah.
strategy game. So, fucking a day one fast game, which has become a bit of a tradition because obviously we had fast racing Neo, Fast Racing on the Wii. Fast Racing Neo was a launch title on the Wii U, if I remember correctly. Fast RMX was a launch title on the Switch, if I remember correctly. So the tradition continues with Fast Fusion. The fast games are really good, very underappreciated racing games.
Yeah, they're your
Really
modern
fun.
they're your modern day like Wipeout at slash F-Zero like.
Yeah,
So it's great that we still got those games.
Shadow Labyrinth, not surprising. Interesting, weird Pac-Man spin-off that had its own section on that secret level fucking TV show.
Yeah.
And it's very weird. Rider Remastered. I don't know anything about Atlas games, but people are excited about that. Reanimal got announced for the Switch, which cool, because I mean that's the game from the people who made Little Nightmares. Because they've got a very weird situation right now where Little Nightmares 3 is being made not by people who made Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and Reanimal is made by people who did make Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and Reanimal looks more like a Little Nightmares game than Little Nightmares 3 does, but that's neither here nor there. Fortnite, no surprises.
Yeah, Lego. I think Lego Fortnite was also there as well. I think. Yeah, Lego.
Yeah,
Fortnite.
yeah. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. I don't know if that's a new Layton game or if that's an old one. I don't know anything about that, but fuck yeah, Layton. Tamagotchi Plaza. Some weird game called Human Fall Flat 2. Not heard of it. I think it's got a space level in it. And then also, yes, I have played Human Fall Flat for people. The joke is that I know what Human Fall Flat is. Well done, you figured out the joke. And finally, well, not finally, there's a couple more, but Duskblood.
Which at first, when you looked at it, I thought it was a sequel to Bloodborne. Everyone saw it was is this Bloodborne?
We're all yeah. Duskblood is very interesting because I'm a huge Bloodborne fan. I don't like From Software games. I'm not a fan of them, but I love Bloodborne. Bloodborne is some magic fucking dust on it. So when they were showing us off, it was like, oh shit, it's a new Bloodborne. And then the more they talk about it after this conference, the less I want it.
Because I think it's like a multiplayer experience, like a multiplayer game or something. It's some sort of like...
They described it as From Software's take on Escape from Tarkov.
Okay.
It's so presumably it's an extraction RPG. Which it looks cool. Like the guy on the jetpack looks cool, but like here's the thing, right? PvPvE, I got no problem with the format of PvPvE. PvPvE is fun. From Software's netcode, especially when it comes to PvP scenarios. And look, I don't mean this as any indictment of the devs. I know you're all working hard. It's probably as much to do with the engine you have and the focus you have and resources you have in development. I fully understand that. And I'm not saying this to insult anyone, but your netcode for the last fucking 10 years has been unacceptable and is actually appalling to a level that I don't understand how it ever got allowed. The PvP netcode in all of your games is fucking disgraceful, and I want you all to take a long, hard look at yourselves, and I want you to look. I don't care that you think Miyazaki's genius. He needs to go in the corner for allowing his games to have that netcode. I don't care. Fucking, I want him to stay in the corner. I'm not asking for fucking rollback or anything like that. I'm asking for a usable experience that isn't the worst thing I've ever played in my life. And all of From Software's online netcode has been that, which sucks because I want Night Rain to be good because it's like, hey, the stuff about Elden Ring you like in a format that won't ruin the game for you. Yeah, so Night Rain better be good. But my god, they cannot do fucking netcode to save their lives. And the fact they're like, we're making this PvPvE extraction game, which presumably means that it's going to be quite tense because a death could set you back quite harshly in a game like this, means that your PvP has to be fucking perfect, or you are going to piss so many people off. And I already know what's going to happen. We all know it's going to be it's going to be such a cool idea, and the netcode's going to fuck it. So I really hope they're rethinking some things about the netcode because my fucking god, they cannot do it.
I have nothing
The
to add to.
Duskbloods.
I have nothing to add because I'm not a fan of From Software games. I know they have their fan base and it's quite big. It's not for me, but it looks nice. I'm happy for people to have a new From Software game, so I hope that you'll enjoy it. And it looks cool. Like, oh, there's
Yeah.
the guns. So yeah, so like, I wonder if it is kind of related to like the Bloodborne universe and stuff. Like, because it had that vibe.
It's very weird. Like people are like, oh yeah, we want Bloodborne to go off of like an exclusive platform and come to other platforms, and Sony have said no for years. And then From Software's response is to make a thing that reminds everyone of Bloodborne and make it exclusive to a different
That's the
platform,
bit. Yeah,
as
this
if a
is
way to like tell people to fuck off again.
this is the big deal. Like, it's an exclusive, so they're working in partnership with Nintendo for this. This is really cool. That the fact that they're getting an exclusive.
Oh no, yeah,
Thing.
no, yeah, it's cool. It's just like the ongoing joke of like we finally got Bloodborne 2 and it was also an exclusive to a console. Like, god damn it. Like
And
the
then
one thing everyone hates, everyone loves Bloodborne. The one thing everyone hates is exclusive to the PS4, and it's just
yeah,
like, no, you'll never get. Don't worry, Bloodborne 2 exclusive to the Switch 2. It's like, oh, you dickheads!
and
All the PS5 players waiting for a Bloodborne remaster. Like, god damn it, it's on the Switch.
And the last two games of the direct, one is Kirby's Air Riders, which I think is like a sequel to a GameCube game.
Air Ride. Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
played Air Ride, but I think it's got a big fan base. I thought initially this
If
was going to be Smash Bros because the quality of this like pre-rendered cutscene kind of reminded me of Smash Bros. But obviously we find out that it is HAL
directed
Laboratories.
by Sakurai.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
directed by Sakurai, which I mean, like it's kind of it's kind of a Kojima thing right now, where like they will trot his name out when they can because it's like, why wouldn't you?
yeah.
Like it's Sakurai. Um, Although Sakurai's been less historically creepy to women in his games, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Look, I like Death Stranding. I like Kojima now, but like fucking Quiet is still unacceptable. Um, uh, but yeah, Kirby's Air Riders. Uh, Switch 2 really potentially seeming like quite a surprisingly good home for racing games.
Yeah.
Oddly, because we got a new Fast game on launch. We got Mario Kart World. We got this. I would be surprised if we don't see Crossworld.
And this
I'm sure
and
Sonic Crossworld will
and Air
probably come
Riders
out
is
on the
coming out
Switch too.
this year as well, so that's great. We don't know when, but obviously like it feels like from launch onwards we're gonna get like a really steady release of like really great titles.
Yeah,
So it's
and
gonna
we
be really
end it
fun.
of course with Bonanza,
Yes, which was very
which
surprising. Like because I thought it was gonna be a Mario platform. I thought, oh, it's gonna be like a sequel to Odyssey, but no, this is a 3D Donkey Kong
me,
platformer game,
me and
which
a
we
few
haven't seen
friends
in
were
a very
wondering if
long
they were
time.
me and a few friends were wondering if they were going to turn Odyssey into like its own sort of not franchise where they're like think, but like a spiritual franchise where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, is this Donkey Kong's Odyssey kind of thing? Is Odyssey going to be now like, yeah, these characters having these big like expensive fun games?
Which you could say because we had
And
like the
instead what we
Kirby
got
Forgotten
is
Lands, and then now we've got this.
yeah, I wish I could say that I came up with this joke. I didn't. I saw it online, but some people are calling it Red Faction Gorilla, which I think is genius. Um, uh, fucking, I mean, like, yeah, ground defamation, all the fun, not enough games. Use that kind of tech, and a Donkey Kong game is perfect for it. Um,
And also like Donkey Kong's
uh,
like new sort of redesign, like it's looking like the version from Mario Kart Worlds where it's a bit more. I want to say chibi-esque. It's not really chibi, but like it doesn't look like how he's looked in like say like the
Yeah,
the
I
Donkey
was going to
Country
say
games.
with Worlds as well. I forgot to mention that. Like, I am not sold on Worlds' character art style. Um, I think that Rosalina, Daisy, and Peach just don't come out of it well. Any Tool character comes out looking very weird in Worlds right now. Maybe I'll get used to it, but they definitely like chibified and cartoonified and
Yeah,
kiddified them.
I quite
I mean,
I think it worked quite well for Donkey Kong.
don't.
Like he looks really nice, and I like his new
Oh,
is like
yeah.
what are those called? Like the outfit he's wearing, the overalls
Oh, the overalls,
with
the
with this yeah
dungarees, whatever they're called. Yeah, like really, like it looks really fun. And at first I was a little bit like, sometimes like change can be shocking. It takes a second to get adjustment to it. So at first I was a little bit like, oh, Donkey Kong looks odd, but actually like it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Like it's so wacky and silly.
yeah. He's definitely
Um,
got a lot of personality to him. Like he's very like emotive and animated, like in his expressions and stuff. Um,
yeah,
which
I
I
think
think
he
when it's a character that's not Mario, like they get to really kind of like be more cartoony. That's not a diss on Mario. I
yeah.
love Mario Odyssey. But like yeah, it definitely has got a lot of personality, which is great.
Yeah, it's like in the Mario franchise, unless it's focusing on Wario or Donkey
Luigi,
Kong, you're
even
never really
Luigi
going to
as
get
well.
anything too like wacky. And you're probably asking, well, what about Waluigi? And sadly, and I hate to break all of your hearts, all right, I'm going to tell you a secret here. And I know that this goes against all logic and sense, but I promise you it's true. And I'm so sorry to tell you this. I think Nintendo hate Waluigi. I think they just hate him. I genuinely think they don't like him, and they don't ever. I think they're embarrassed by his existence. I think I mean, because he basically exists to give Wario a tennis doubles partner.
Yeah.
That's the reason he exists, is so that Wario can play tennis against Mario and Luigi. Um, and I don't. And I'm so sorry to tell you that fucking Nintendo hate Waluigi, and so we'll never make a Waluigi game. But we just have to fucking accept that Nintendo don't understand that Waluigi is the most powerful character they've ever made, and I'm including more powerful than Kirby, who has canonically killed 3 Eldritch gods at this point. Um, so like, yeah, no, I then just before you go, oh, but Waluigi's cartoony. He's fun. Everyone loves Waluigi. Nintendo fear him, and as much as I said that Nintendo are a soulless company who just want your money, if that was actually truly true, we'd only get Waluigi games. So maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe they're doing it because they care. But no, the truth is that they fucking hate Waluigi and they are embarrassed by him, and we'll never see Waluigi taken seriously. And I think that is a travesty for us all. And I'd like to have 5 seconds of silence to mourn Waluigi's existence. So let's just have a mourning period here. May we remember him. All right, yeah, continue.
So back to Donkey Kong. Yeah, so this is coming out in July, so it'll be a month after the after launch. So yeah, this just looks like a really fun 3D platformer. Really not much I can really kind of say. Obviously, there's some verticality to it. You can kind of like break down and you can just basically just grab any kind of like rock or anything, or like dig down and just cause a lot of havoc. I'm hoping this is going to be. This looks like it might actually be like a pretty challenging 3D platformer. I mean, not to say like Odyssey wasn't. Like this looks like it's gonna have some fun challenge
No,
to
but
it.
like it'll sort of have an inventive kind of scale of difficulty because your challenges are going to be so different
Yeah,
if it's built around destruction.
and
Like
also like it's a kids game as well, so I don't
fundamentally,
expect it to be like too overly challenging. Like it's meant to be
no,
played by
but
everyone, but it feels like it's gonna be fun. And there's some obviously it harkens back to some of the Donkey Kong Country games because there's some slight like 2D elements to it as well. But yeah, this just looks like a really fun game and a good way to
I
end
just noticed one of
the.
the gemstones. There's a blue gemstone he runs past at one point that turns into a giant question mark when it sees him, and that's adorable.
But yeah, so that's the last game on the actual direct. Yeah, this it was a very fun direct. Obviously we've been critical with some of the stuff that's come
Yeah, I'd like to
afterwards, but it's
apologize for
like
making this entire podcast unlistenable too. I have been a fucking miserable twat this whole time.
We're looking
Um,
forward to it. I'm really excited for the Switch 2. I'm probably not gonna
I'm
buy
on the
it day.
fence.
I'm probably not gonna buy it day one. That's just because I don't ever buy consoles day one. Like I'm definitely probably will pick it up later in the year. Well, hopefully my own personal finances are better. Like it's something
Yeah,
that I want to kind of like invest in. Because it's just like it'll just be like a ton of fun. And hopefully like when I get closer to like the holiday period, there's going to be a ton of games that you can kind of pick from. Again, I guess my main worry is just the pricing of the games and stuff is
yeah.
one of the kind of major concerns. But
The lack of the lack of an OLED screen as well, I think, is disappointing. I know they were trying. I know they only wanted to sell one version. They're like they don't want to be like here are all the different versions. It's like they just want to be like here is the Switch 2. No, nothing to get rid of the focus. Just
yeah,
here is the Switch 2, one version.
I
No bells and whistles. No like 50 different colors. Just this is the Switch 2. That is that, and we'll worry about that later.
yeah I
But them and so they lowered the price by saving on an OLED. But
yeah.
but
It's always the hard thing when it
them
comes to
not releasing an OLED
hardware,
really sucks.
where you have to kind of like pick and choose like what you're gonna put in the hardware and stuff. You got to find the balance between like hardware and cost. If you're putting too if you're trying to make the most beast like console ever, it's gonna cost like an arm and leg where people aren't gonna play it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they got to find a balance. I guess before we end, I guess we should probably make like a little slight comparison to the Steam Deck. Now I have like Steam Power, like I have the Steam Store up on my side. It's only showing like Euros side of things, but like so you look at like a base Steam Deck and you can tell me what it is in pounds. But like this base one, the 256 gig LCD one, is 419 euros. I don't know what that is in pounds. It's probably going to be closer to like there's like 380 or 390 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and that has like a battery, and it seems like looking at like looking at
If
the
I try
spec
and okay,
wise.
so a 256 gigabyte LCD Steam Deck will set me back £349. A 512 gigabyte OLED will set me back £479, and a 1 terabyte OLED will set me back £569. So for an LCD version, it is a little bit less than a Switch 2, but we are also looking at something that's only got a 60 hertz refresh rate. The OLEDs have a 90 hertz, so not a 120. Um, uh, but once you go above the price of the Switch 2, you're also getting by default more
Memory.
more memory size. But I don't know if you can upgrade the memory on a Steam Deck.
I can't remember if you can or not. Um,
I'll both include high speed micro SD card slot.
yeah,
So same as the Switch 2.
yeah.
Um, yeah, from what we've been hearing, battery life is reasonably comparable. I don't know much about weight at the moment, but yeah, like in terms of certain things, the Switch definitely going to do some things better. But the Steam Deck is always going to have the Switch is always going to have to come out swimming with like these big exclusives that sort of only could run on the Switch to in certain ways, and sort of like you're getting the Nintendo ones. Um, but in terms of library and cost effectiveness, once you own the console, unfortunately, I think the Steam Deck's always going to be um, kind of running rings around Nintendo just because the Steam Summer Sale exists.
Yeah,
Um, like and just the sort of and also look, don't get me wrong, Steam, the modern version of Steam is an absolute trash fire where 90% of the games are cheap porno games that were made in like 10 minutes. But despite the fact that it is an unregulated fucking dumpster fire of a library that's now there, the amount of fucking games on Steam is just kind of overwhelming. Um, and for a lot of people as well, I think a lot of Switch players are PC players. Um, I know a lot of people who own Switch and play the Switch outside, um, who who have PCs as their main thing, not consoles. Um, and yeah, like the Steam Deck is I don't know how it is comparable in power in certain ways. Um, it does have less of a it's a lower resolution monitor than the Switch does. I don't know if I haven't checked if the Steam Deck supports DLSS or anything like that. It probably has to use FSR, I imagine.
If the Switch 2 is
Um,
kind of like close or just slightly above like like a base Steam Deck, because obviously I think like as you mentioned, like it seems like the higher ones just have like higher refresh rate and just like an OLED screen. I
yeah,
think like this might be good for developers because they'd be like, well, they're going to want to try to get their games working on a Steam Deck as well to kind of like
exactly.
maximize
Yeah.
profit. So I think like you're going to probably see a lot more sort of third party, as we saw in the direct, a lot of third party companies being like, well, this is kind of similar or close to a Steam Deck, so if we can get it running on there, we can get it running on a Switch too, as well.
I'll definitely, yeah, that'll definitely be a big part of it. I think they're always going to have slightly different audiences, as much as like they are direct competitors to each other. I think their audiences and some of the reasons for existing are going to be a bit different. I think for a lot of people with the Switch, like that, especially if you don't have the money for like a PS5 or anything like that, like will be like their console. I think with the Switch was always hybrid as a handheld and a console. I think that's what's always forget about the marketing of it. It's handheld and console.
Mm.
Whilst the while you can use the Steam Deck as a display port and port out stuff to it, it's still designed more as a handheld than it is as a console. Um, but definitely it's definitely a sort of weird situation just between those two because how they're competing with each other is so different. Switch is like we have fucking Mario shit. We got fucking Mario Kart coming on, and we got this like, and you know, you're gonna be able to buy your Zelda games on there and have versions of that. Um, while Steam will always just be able to go, we have Steam, which is the fucking, you know, it's a terrifying flex, you know, like oh whoopsie daisy, R1 launches with the thing that has a monopoly on PC gaming right now. So yeah, it's they can be compared and people will compare them, and how they perform will always be in comparison, but the kind of people that are going to want each one, while there is a crossover on the Venn diagram in terms of people who are excited for the the Switch 2 and people who are excited for getting a Steam Deck, I think there's always going to be a sort of they're going to be a bit more separate audiences than I think people expect. I think they're going to be slightly more distant to each other than one would think.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, well, I think we've kind of covered all the bases now. If anyone's actually listening, congratulations. But
yeah. I am so sorry. I am
we're doing
so
this mostly
sorry.
for our own fun as well. We just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I just I enjoy going on. This is like one of the few times in life I can like go on these rants and not look completely fucking crazy. So, um,
But yeah, like we're looking forward to this Switch 2 where we're I guess cautiously optimistic with it. Yeah. So yes, June. I forgot which the date. Was it June 5th? Yeah, June 5th. Switch 2 comes
yeah.
out. Keep an eye out for any new news that's going to be coming out over the next coming months. But yeah, that's it. How do we want to end?
Okay.
Good.
I hope that Descenders Next comes out on the Switch too, because the beta for Descenders Next was really good.
And on that note, we will bid you adieu. And
Adieu.